there, and welcome to Donington Park for the opening 2 rounds of the British F3 Series. Now this year looks to be as strong as ever and has a truly international affair. I'll be in the pit lane interviewing all the drivers during the races, and Ben Edwards here will be joining me to commentate on all the races, won't you, Ben?
I will indeed, and looking forward to it very much, Diana. All those young guys eager to win the title, and they've got to pack their passports this year and get some Euros, because they're not only racing in Britain, they'll also be racing on Grand Prix circuits in Germany, in Italy and in Belgium.
Absolutely. Now 25 cars take to the grid this weekend, all of them challenging for that F3 title. This year's British hopes are looking very strong indeed. We've got no less than 3 champions fighting it out for the title. Tim Bridgman won the 2004 Formula BMW Championship, and Mike Conway is the current UK Formula Renault champion. With 2004 champion Nelson Piquet moving onwards and upwards, could we have another famous Brazilian name at the top? Senna, yes, that's right. Bruno Senna, the nephew of the late great Ayrton, is making his F3 debut this weekend.
Yeah, it's a big challenge for me. I think coming from very little experience, almost no experience, to British Formula 3, which is a big challenge. So I guess it's been thrilling to test, and now we finally get to the first race, and now I hope to see how it goes from now on.
Well, there's a lot of activity here on the grid, as you can see behind me, as the Formula 3 cars line up for the first race of the season here at Donington Park. It's a familiar face that takes pole position, the Brazilian Danilo Durrani in his Lola. He made quite an impression last year, so he'll be looking to make a bigger impression in this first race. I'll get off the grid now because the race is about to get underway.
Danilo Durrani had 3 pole positions last year and converted 2 of them into race wins. But joining him on the front row is the man who set fastest lap in the final race of last season, Marco Asma. Mike Conway lines up 3rd ahead of Formula Ford Festival winner Daniel Clark. Then it's his teammate Bruno Senna. Following him, it's reigning scholarship champion Ryan Lewis. Tom Bridgman is 7th for High-Tech. James Walker is 8th. Then it's Christian Bakkerud, another Formula BMW graduate, followed by Stephen Jelly. Fastest national class qualifier is Josh Fisher in 12th overall. We're all set then for the first round of the British F3 International Series of 2005. Who's it going to be from the front row? Danilo Durrani gets away well. Asma's a bit slow. Oh, and there's problems behind. That's Bridgman. He's been hit by Thruxton. And I think Bridgman must have just stalled there as he tried to get away. Other cars off as well. Omani is the red car, pirouetting on the grass, and he looks as though he's in trouble too. It's Durrani who leads. 2nd place, I think, is Mike Conway, because Marco Asma was very slow away, as we see James Walker heading down the Craner curves, and Tim Bridgman walking away from his very stricken car. On board here with Bruno Senna, trying to make up some ground on this first lap, and he's got Josh Fisher just ahead of him, the man who's leading in the national class. Here comes Bruno Senna up the inside into Coppice, and he gains that place. Good move. Nicely sliding through on the inside and heading after Stephen Jelly now in the blue car. Down towards the chicane at the end of the lap, it's Durrani from Conway, from Daniel Clark, and I'm with former British F3 champion Kelvin Burt. Kelvin, unfortunately, it looks as though we're going to have the safety car out there.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mess on the start line. We saw one of the cars stall and he was collected. Let's see the replay here. We switch back to replay. There's the car that stalled, it's Bridgman, and I think Thruxton straight in the back, fairly heavy impact, clips another car on the left, and I think we saw 2 go onto the grass. Another angle, there's Bridgman, stationary, helpless, and yeah, that's quite a mess. Could be a lot nastier than it was, actually. So many cars close together.
Driver's worst nightmare for those behind, seeing a stationary car right in front of them as they try and start. But for Danilo Durrani in the white Lola, no such problems. He's chased by Mike Conway. Oh, Ryan Lewis in the blue and white car was a little bit wide out of the chicane, but he's running in 5th place ahead of Stephen Jelly, his great rival when they were racing in the scholarship class last year. We've renamed that the national class for 2005, still for cars built to the end of 2004. At the moment, we're riding on board a 2005 Dallara, and we're with Bruno Senna as he tries to find a way past Stephen Jelly.
Yeah, good shot there of the Jelly's car bottoming out. You saw some sparks fly from underneath. Jelly slow out of the old hairpin. Senna's got some good momentum on him here, climbing uphill to McLean's, but Senna's actually on the wrong side. He needs ideally to be on the right, and I think we might see Jelly. Yeah, we do. Senna switches back to the inside, short straight up to Coppice here.
Let's see what he can do. He's going to try up the inside. Not much space here. They make contact, and Stephen Jelly's off. He's into the gravel, and I'm not sure that he's going to come back from there. Just a little bit of contact, all it takes when you're going through a corner at 70, 80 miles an hour. And Bruno Senna, I think, has got away with it. That car steering okay. Yeah, he's all right. He continues, but Jelly's out.
Yep, Senna's car looks undamaged. As you say, Ben, Jelly's out. Replay of it, he switches inside, climbing up. It's a short straight to Coppice here. He's enough up the inside there to get the corner, switch to slow motion, and Jelly just tried to apex really, didn't give Senna the room that he should have.
Battle for fourth place coming out of the chicane. Christian Bakkerud in the white, red and black Carlin Motorsport car. Right behind him is Ryan Lewis. And here comes Lewis. He's going for the inside into Redgate corner. And that was a good, clean, aggressive piece of overtaking.
Yep, good late braking. Very clean, as you say, Ben, and very aggressive. And off goes Ryan Lewis down the hill to chase the next car.
There is Charlie Kimball still trying to get past James Walker. They're a little further down the order. But he has not given up, but he bounces over the curb and he's off. He's off into the gravel trap at Coppice. Now, can he get it back on? Try and keep it under control, keep it running, and I think he's going to get away with it.
Yeah, he did, and that was a result of clipping the curb on the inside of Coppice, which in a Formula 3 car, they're very stiffly sprung. You shouldn't really do. You can get away with it in a saloon car, as you can see, it's cost him 3 or 4 places and put him right back in the thick of it again.
Yeah, poor old Charlie, there he is. Plenty to do. Let's see what it looked like from on board.
Yeah, exiting Coppice, it's a short straight. He's obviously trying to close on James Walker in front. Takes too much of these actually on the grass on the inside, and that's the result. Punts him off into the gravel. Did well to control it, keeps it moving. What you don't need to do is brake because the car will bog down into the gravel.
But no such problems for Danilo Dirani. He won 2 races in 2004, and the young Brazilian, a great friend of Bruno Senna's, is going to come through to take the first win of the season in dominant style. It's a win for Lola. It's a win for P1 Motorsport. And Mike Conway could not quite match him in the latter part of the race. Coming through to win in the national class is Josh Fisher. A great result for the youngster from Somerset. So Dirani takes the win from Mike Conway, and Daniel Clark takes the first podium for Raikkonen Robertson Racing. Ryan Lewis finished 4th with fastest lap, but the national class win went to Josh Fisher.
To get pole position and get this win was fantastic, incredible. Let's keep like this and improve always, and try to win more races and the championship.
Things just about to get underway here at Donington Park, and it's been all change. It's been crucial for this man, Marco Asma. He starts in pole position. He's only just made it to the grid. As you can see, the crew are working on the car just to get him ready. It's been touch and go, but I think they're going to manage it. Here's Ben.
Thanks, Diana. Well, major clutch problems at the start of that first race is what meant the crew had to go to work very busily to get the car sorted for race number 2. They have just managed to do it. He starts on pole position. Alongside him is the man who won earlier on, Danilo Dirani. Then behind them, the two 21-year-old Brits, Mike Conway and Daniel Clark. Then it's the American, Charlie Kimball, in 5th place. But Stephen Kane drove superbly in qualifying to take 6th, following all sorts of problems. Christian Bakkerud and James Walker are on row 4, followed by Bruno Senna and Susie Stoddart, while Barton Moore is on pole position in the national class. The car's virtually ready to go. We've just got the last few moving into position here. It's another 20-lap encounter around the national circuit at Donington Park in Leicestershire. Marco Asma in the red and white car, Danilo Dirani in the white car, and Mike Conway getting away well too. Somebody was a bit slow there. It's Dirani in the Lola once again, who gets ahead into Redgate corner. Mike Conway takes 2nd. And Marco Asma once more was slow off the line. He's dropped to 4th position, right behind Daniel Clark. And there you can see Christian Bakkerud trying to go around the outside of Stephen Kane. Slightly further back, Barton Moore leads in the national class, but Senna's on the grass, coming back on, try not to collect him as Barton Moore heads through. And I think that Senna probably lost it. Yes, he did. We've got cars off everywhere here at the old hairpin. That's Ronan O'Mahony trying to spin it straight. Stephen Jelly's trying to rejoin from the grass. Chaos reigns at the old hairpin. Green flag being shown. The race is underway again. 2nd place for Daniel Clark. That's fantastic. His first F3 meeting. He's up into 2nd position here. Kimball now down the inside into Redgate corner. The American trying to make up for that very slow start. He made a very poor getaway. Oh, and Clark's gone wide. Daniel Clark, I spoke too soon. Look at this. This is a battle going on in the national class, side by side. Oh, there's contact, and Kennard's gone right over. My goodness, on the exit of the chicane, he's gone right over on the roll hoop and back down on all four wheels. A big accident there, but I think that he's okay. We're riding with Susie Stoddart as she comes out of the old hairpin. Yeah, there's Jonathan climbing out of the car, the reigning Formula Palmer Audi champion. And now he's side by side as they head up through the left-hander at Schwantz Curve. Now it's the right-hander at McLean's, almost touching again. Bridgman goes a little bit wide. Lewis nips through on the inside, and this time I think he's actually taken the place. But into the chicane for the final time is the man who's really shown them how to do it, because he's going to take both wins at Donington Park. The perfect start to the season for Danilo Dirani, for P1 Motorsport, and for Lola. That new car is to be watched for the rest of the year because it has taken on the Delaras here. Danilo Dirani's opened up a useful 13-point lead over Mike Conway. Daniel Clark in a good third place ahead of Marco Asma. Will be hoping for better starts next time. In the national class, Barton Moore has the advantage, but by only 3 points from Josh Fisher, while Finn Juha Anala is running in third.
Welcome to Croft here in Yorkshire for rounds 5 and 6 of the British Formula 3 International Series. Yes, that's right, rounds 5 and 6. Now, you may well be wondering what happened to rounds 3 and 4. Well, that's a very good question. Unfortunately, the weather decided to play havoc with the racing at Spa, and despite everyone managing to qualify in the rain, a thick layer of fog descended onto the track, making racing impossible. That left the organisers with no alternative but to cancel the races. Now, those rounds will be run later on in the year, but hopefully the weather won't interfere this weekend and we should have some great racing.
Alvaro Peret is again driving for Carlin Motorsport, the team that took Takuma Sato to the British F3 title in 2001. Mike Conway was 0.06 of a second slower in his Fortec Motorsport Delara, while Donington pole sitter Marco Asma is third for Hitech. Christian Bakkerud is an impressive fourth ahead of championship leader Danilo Dirani, and Dan Clark lines up sixth, a fraction faster than American Charlie Kimball and Brazilian Bruno Senna. Stephen Kane is ninth from Formula BMW champion Tim Bridgman in 10th, while top man in national class is Charles Hollings in the ex-Danny Watts Lola. But there are problems for Tim Bridgman. Look, his car being pushed away, and it doesn't look as though he's going to make the start here. That's very disappointing. Out go the lights, and Alvaro Parenti gets away, but here goes Mike Conway from second on the grid. It's a blistering start, and also going into second place, I think, is Marco Asma. Side by side into Clairvaux, Asma takes second, and poleman Parent is down to third place. Now, can they get through that tricky first corner? Amazingly, it looks as though they have done, Kelvin.
Yeah, it's a very thread the eye of a needle corner, this quick chicane here, onto the short back straight and down to Tower Corner. And as you said, great starts from both Conway and Asma. It didn't look too bad a start from Parent, but I think those two really got it hooked up well. Stephen Jelly off. Can't quite see where that is on the circuit, but it looks like he's going no further.
Something at the back there of Bruno Senna's car.
Yes, Ben, it looks like the engine cover. Yeah, it is. Senna's engine cover has come almost completely detached. Looks like it's still attached at the back. Back to the pits, we've got problem for Stephen Kane. There's the problem. Bent rear wishbone. That car's going no further.
Oh, let's see if we can find out what happened to him.
He stalled on the grid, I think. Yeah, that's Kane there, stalled and hit by Jelly. And obviously that explains why we saw Jelly just a couple of moments ago.
So that counted for 2 cars. Look at the conditions. We've got hail. It's a hailstorm suddenly at Croft, and that makes it almost impossible. They're on slick tyres, and there's hail bouncing around on the tarmac. It's helped Dan Clark to catch up to the back of Christian Bakkerud. Off is Charlie Kimball in car 6, and James Walker, who'd been going so well in car 2. Those two machines interlocked, and Mike Conway, race leader, first to encounter these conditions at each and every corner. Someone's off. Oh, it's Senna. My goodness, he nearly went over. Also off is Cheng Lu Meng, and he didn't go quite so wide. We're on board here with Danilo Dirani turning into this right-hander Tower Corner as Lu Meng rejoins the track. And oh no, Ryan Lewis clouts the tyre barrier. Charles Hollings is off in the same area, and the black and yellow car had been leading the national class.
Here we are with Senna. A replay, grabs the front brakes, approaches way too fast in Tower Corner, digs the gravel, and the car almost went over. Very lucky there.
on board with Dirani, up to about 138 miles an hour here before they get on the brakes, maybe a bit less in these conditions. Turns in, oh, he's been hit. It's Dan Clark. There's been contact between the two cars. Dan Clark shoots off to the right. I don't know if either of them is going to get going. He's trying to restart. It's making some horrible noises, is that car. And no great surprise to see that the safety car has been brought on circuit while we try and execute a mop-up operation. I wonder if we can see what happened.
Here's a replay. We see Clark lock, both the cars twitching. Clark locks his brakes and just tags relatively gently the back of Dirani, but the result is they're both off. Restart.
The green flag waves and Mike Conway will try and disappear again. He's also got a car between himself and second place man number 12, Marco Asma. Ricardo Teixeira in number 34 is in the way a little bit. He's going to try and get out of the way, but it is to Mike Conway's advantage to have him there, and it might allow him to escape. Again, they all get through that first section relatively safely, and Marco Asma in second, trying to get past that back marker as quickly as possible. But look how much Conway's been able to open up the lead.
Yes, Ben, a great break by Conway, and meanwhile a typically Latin pose from Dirani in the pits. And I think that's the back marker, relatively René Nomani and Keiko Ihara, I believe.
Yes, they've tangled, but that doesn't affect the front runners. Mike Conway still in control of this race. Asma holding on to second position at the moment. He finished second to Dirani at Donington, and it looks as though he's going to finish second again here at Croft. But Mike Conway's the man who's really going to scoop the rewards and take maximum points from this race as they come across the line. And the checker flag waves, and in fact that's come out a lap early. We were expecting an 18-lap race. That's the end of 17 laps. Teams are a little bit confused, but who cares, says Mr. Fortek, because their man, Mike Conway, has taken the victory, and I'm sure the drivers will be told, even if they are still pushing hard. So, Mike Conway takes his first F3 win in only his third British F3 race. Asma takes his second podium finish of the year, with Peret third and Christian Bacher at a fine fourth. Salvador Duran won the national class, finishing fifth overall, with Barton Moore second in class.
Well, conditions here have changed somewhat. We've just had a massive downpour, so we've now got a very wet circuit. Alvaro Peret takes pole position yet again. Alongside him, Mike Conway. It should be quite a battle into that first corner. Can Mike Conway make it 2 out of 2? Well, we're just about to find out. Here's Ben.
Once again, Alvaro Peret starts from pole position with a new clutch this time and hoping for a better getaway, but Conway will hope otherwise, looking to extend his new championship points lead. Christian Bacherud and Marco Asma make up the second row of the grid, and then it's Charlie Kimball in fifth place for Carlin, whilst Donington double winner Dirani is sixth. Reigning scholarship champion Ryan Lewis is seventh. Tim Bridgman starts in 8th place, just ahead of national class pole sitter Charles Hollings and Dan Clark. 24 cars preparing for an 18-lap race on a treacherously wet surface. Away we go then, and Peret very carefully away. Dirani trying to go through the middle there and getting away fairly effectively, but much better this time for Alvaro Peret. He stays ahead of Mike Conway. Conway doesn't do what he did in race 1 and surge past, so he's in second place. Third place for Christian Bacherud, chased by Charlie Kimball. Dan Clark quite wide, but not as wide as Stephen Jelly. He's going all the way around the edge there. I don't know if he's going to find any grip, and it gets very narrow through the chicane. Has to be careful there as they come through onto the straight. And in fact, oh yes, Dan Clark's gone a little too wide on the grass and losing a place or two.
Yes, Ben, a terrible spray here. You can see how much moisture there is around, but all relatively careful by the runners in the first couple of corners. Another wobble from Jelly as they head off into the quick back section of the circuit. Such a lot of spray here. As they go into 5th, 6th gear, quick corners. Here we are now.
This is truly daunting stuff when you can't see where you're going. You're just going into a cloud of spray if you're in the midfield in particular. Looks like Charles Hollings leading in the national class, but problems for Ricardo Teixeira. He's being pushed away. He's not playing any further part. Now we're on board with Danilo Dirani, and it looks as though he's on with a bit of battle here. Yes, because just slicing through on the inside is Marco Asma, and Asma now dropping back a little bit on the exit of the corner because Dirani had better traction.
Yeah, optimistic lunge by Asma that, and he didn't manage quite to make it stick. Down to the first corner, clipping the curb on the inside. Ryan Lewis going relatively well in these conditions. He's a relatively aggressive racer.
Yeah, interestingly, he's just behind Tim Bridgman in 5th place. These two British drivers looking for the advantage here. Bridgman, the reigning Formula BMW champion. Lewis is the reigning Scholarship F3 champion. Loads of ability, but who's got more aggression here? Got to be so careful in these conditions.
That's right, Ben. We saw how slippery this corner was in race 1, and Ryan Lewis thought better of it. Nice power slide out of the corner, though. And on board with Durrani, he's made a mistake through the gravel trap.
Yeah, not just through the gravel, he's in the grass, through the field, and trying to get back onto the tarmac. Also off, there is Asma, same place. It's all happening at Tower Corner today.
Yeah, struggling for traction, Durrani, and another corner steaming Keiko Ihara, we think that car is.
Yeah, that's right. It is the Japanese lady racer out of the race as well. Well, Colin are having an up and down day, aren't they? Keiko's out, but they're still leading this race with Peret. There was contact there between Conway and Christian Baccarat through one of the fastest sections.
Yeah, fastest corner that, Ben, and Mike lucky to get away with that. He's just lost the 2 positions running through there behind the Carlin cars. Durrani pits for clearing of the radiators.
Yeah, there was a lot of grass. Look at the amount of vegetation that they're having to pull out of the side pods. Take another look.
Here we are approaching the Tower Corner, which has been slippery all day long, and there's no way he's going to make that. Can't stop the car through the gravel trap out the other side and into the farmer's field, which he won't be too chuffed about. Struggling for traction. You can hear the wheels spinning and the engine. Is he going to make it? Oh, well, we know he did make it, but damage done.
Indeed, disappointing for Durrani, and that championship lead that he took from Donington has been destroyed here at Croft. Now, let's just think, where is everyone at the moment? Well, our race leader is the Portuguese driver Alvaro Peret, who got off pole okay. Christian Baccarat, who fought his way past Mike Conway's 2nd. Ryan Lewis is 3rd. Conway himself down to 4th. Then it's James Walker and Tim Bridgman. It's a bit tricky to keep track of all this because of these conditions, the spray. It's hard for us to see what's going on, let alone for the drivers who are trying to fight their way through this. Oh, and wide has gone Conway's on the grass this time. Can he get back from there? Well, fortunately, there's another strip of tarmac on this former airfield circuit, so I think he can get back on, but he's lost a huge number of places.
Yes, Ben, he was in the midst of this very busy scrap for 4th place, now led by James Walker, followed by Bridgman, and one little mistake, as we saw from Mike Conway, and you've instantly lost 4 or 5 positions.
And it did look a little bit as though perhaps a piece of the car flew off, so I'm not sure he's going to be able to run as competitively now. But James Walker in car number 2, this is one of his best showings in F3. Tim Bridgman in his 1st season, also running very strongly at the moment, chased by Charlie Kimball and also by Dan Clark at the back of this group. Walker just needs to tread careful, and as long as he doesn't make a mistake, it's going to be very hard to pass him.
Quite right, Ben. Yeah, he's got the position, he's got the visibility. Those 3 behind him, they're just sat in his spray, and the position is theirs to take, but it's a risky take.
Je suis tellement contente de notre Toyota Corolla Verso. C'est vrai, au départ, on la voulait rouge, mais bon, en fait, on l'a prise en noir, comme ça, ça va avec tout. Je voulais une grande voiture pour les enfants, et il fallait aussi qu'elle soit pratique, avec beaucoup de place. J'adore tous les équipements, et je voulais qu'elle respecte l'environnement. C'est important aussi. Enfin, je l'adore, quoi. Je l'adore, on l'adore, c'est génial. C'est... Qu'est-ce qu'il y a, chérie, t'as mal à la tête?
Non. Toyota Corolla Verso, nouvelle motorisation D4D Clean Power, le diesel propre par Toyota.
Walker turns into tower trouble for Kimball. Oh, Charlie's off, backwards into the tyres, slams into the barrier, sparks flying off the Armco initially, and the American is out.
Yeah, looks like he grabbed the back brakes there. Not literally, obviously, but just hit the pedal a bit too hard, and the rear just seemed to snake round and turn him left into the barrier.
So that's taken him out of this race for 4th position, and oh, Bridgman very nearly took to the grass himself there. He did well to hold on, and now he's got to defend from Clark.
Rescued that well, yeah, nearly fell off, and Clark has a wobble out of those sunny corners. Safety car deployed.
It's all happening again in this one. Alvaro Peret in 14 continues to lead. Let's look back at that Kimball moment.
It's a replay of the Kimball moment. You see the rear of the car lets go left and right and glances the barrier. Not really a hard blow, but then into the tyre wall, and he loses the rear wing, and sure, the suspension's bent also, so that car stays there.
So he's out of the action, and Bridgman's out as well. Tim Bridgman has just gone off. The race restarted, and Bridgman goes off almost straight away. What a shame for the British driver, and also off Nick Jones and Stephen Jelly. Slam into the barriers there. Thankfully, that's a slightly softer barrier. It has deranged the mirror, but otherwise I think the car is all right. Mirror signal manoeuvre. Stephen can get back into this one perhaps, but he's having a horrible, horrible weekend. Out of the hairpin then, there is our race leader, and he has driven perfectly, hasn't put a wheel wrong, and so far so good for the Portuguese. We're on the board now though with Jonathan Kennard in another separate battle further down in the national class, and splashing through the puddles is Barton Moore.
Yes, Ben, that's national points leader Barton Moore. Also in that pack there is Charles Hollings and the previous front runner in the championship class, Mike Conway. Here is Barton Moore to our right, approaching the first corner. Gently does it, very slippery still, a little bit wide from Moore, but he's got round okay into Hawthorns. Now this bumpy section of the track here, might see some opposite lock from this car. Yeah, they're struggling for traction to put the power down.
Meanwhile, further up, Dan Clark going for fourth place here, down the inside of James Walker, and he's through. He's a bit sideways on the exit, but Dan Clark into fourth, now chasing Ryan Lewis, who's in third. Remember, Christian Bakkerud is still in second, and the race being led by Alvaro Peret. And here's that battle further down in the national class. Number 40, Josh Fisher, trying to make his way through, but unable to. He was a race winner in the national class at Donington to start the season. And Marco Asma going through. I noticed a yellow flag down there. Oh, James Walker's off. James Walker has run wide and is now rejoining the track. So he's been off. Leaders come through, and Dan Clark is now third, and Lewis is fourth. So Lewis must have made a mistake as well. Both Lewis and Walker making a mistake at Sunny.
That's right, Ben, these tricky conditions making it a topsy-turvy race. And there's Tim Bridgman reviewing his race, which ended in the tyre wall, unfortunately for him. Back to the leader.
Yeah, Alvaro Peret is in total control and has been from the start of this race, remember. He is going to be a major contender for the title in 2005. Across the line he goes. Peret takes victory at Croft. Second place goes to Christian Bakkerud, and they survived some of the most difficult conditions possible. It's been a successful return to the series for Peret with a third and a first, but top first-year Formula 3 driver is Christian Bakkerud. It's Dan Clark's second top three finish in 4 races. Lewis was fourth ahead of Bruno Senna in fifth, and Salvador Duran was the winner in the national class.
Alvaro, that was the result you wanted?
Yes, it was definitely, I wanted to, with 2 poles, I wanted to win the races, but unfortunately in the first one we had a slipping clutch, and I lost 2 positions in the start and then couldn't pass them, but the pace was there.
Despite his tribulations of race 2, Mike Conway is the new championship leader from Danilo Dirani. Asma is second, and Christian Bakkerud a fine fourth. And in the national class, it's the Australian Barton Moore who continues to control it, but Salvador Duran was very impressive and could be chasing hard as we go through the rest of the season.
Welcome to Scotland. Well, Knockhill here in Fife, to be precise, for the British Formula 3 International Series. Now, the weather has played an important part in the championship so far, and this weekend, well, it looks no different. But after Croft, at least they've had plenty of practice in the wet. Round 7 just about to get underway here at Knockhill. Alvaro Peret showing his class yet again, taking pole position. It's still raining. It's going to be difficult for everyone out there. Here's Ben.
Well, if you include the postponed Spa race, this is in fact Alvaro Peret's 4th pole position of the season, by less than a 1/10 of a second from series leader Mike Conway. Stephen Kane has taken his Pro Motecmi Run Lola to 3rd, ahead of T-Sport's Ryan Lewis, who was the pace setter in testing. Christian Bakkerud and Charlie Kimball are the 2 Carlin teammates on row 3. Donington pole sitter Marco Asma's 7th, and Tim Bridgman is 8th. Fastest national class qualifier is Charles Hollings, and there are 4 championship class contenders between him and Barton Moore. So the track conditions very slippery, very wet as we get all set for this race to get underway. Good clean start from Alvaro Peret. Everybody climbing up the hill at the start of this race. James Walker trying to find some space. And here comes Mike Conway on the outside. Championship leader trying to go around the outside of race leader. He can't quite do it, but we've got trouble behind. Oh, that's Charlie Kimball. Marco Asma on the inside, and Dan Clark's been collected as well. There is Charlie Kimball, though, heading back to the pits, punctured left rear. damage to the side pod after that first corner incident where there seemed to be... oh, he's getting out of the way of the leaders. I think that's what he's trying to do here. He's taken to the grass. The leader's just coming into the hairpin. He saw that. I'm not sure he quite meant to go powerboating, though. Ronan Amani coming through the chicane. Oh, and a big spin there from Bruno Senna. Round he goes. A graceful pirouette right in front of a number of other cars. Walker and Asma dicing, but they make contact. Oh, that was where Lewis managed to safely get past Conway. But look, damage to Asma's car, and Walker is buried in the gravel. There is the man that's leading, though. It is Alvaro Peret. He's already had one win at Croft, and now he's going to come through to take his second win. He'll match Danilo Dirani, who's also had 2 wins in this year's championship. The checkered flag is there. Carlin Motorsports celebrate. Alvaro Peret is the winner of the first race of the day at Knockhill. Charlie Hollings wins for the first time in national class. Mike Conway has now finished in the top 3 in 4 of the 5 races held so far. Lewis has his best result of the season, but Peret backs up his win at Croft with another at Knockhill.
Well, the weather has improved. It does look like we're in for a dry race, and even the sunshine's come out for this one. Alvaro Peret takes pole position yet again, but the man that's been making the improvements all year is Ryan Lewis. He takes his first front row start of the year. He'll be looking to convert it into a win, but he'll be chased by the pack behind him. Here's Ben.
It was wet in qualifying for round 8 of the British F3 International Series, but still Peret was the pace setter. Ryan Lewis qualified section just a fraction slower, with Estonian Marko Asma 3rd and reigning Formula BMW champion Tim Bridgman 4th. Charlie Kimball is 5th, just ahead of points leader Mike Conway, who could see his championship lead under threat here. Stephen Kane is 7th, James Walker is 8th, while Salvador Duran is on pole in the national class. Well, Bruno Senna should be on the grid next to Salvador Duran, but in fact he's still in the pit lane. There are problems with his car, and it doesn't look as though he's going to make the start of this race. Away we go then, the lights go out. It's a great start from Alvaro Peret from pole. Somebody's stalled on the line or not moving. Something's gone wrong back there. He had been to second place has come Asma. Lewis has gone back down to 3rd position. Didn't get off the line quite as well as he hoped. Tim Bridgman is chasing him though, so a good start from Tim Bridgman. He's in 4th place, chased by the American Charlie Kimball. I think Salvador Duran is still leading in the national class, but there's no doubt about the man getting away up front once again. It's Alvaro Peret in car number 14, 2nd place for Marko Asma for High-Tech Racing. There is Duran in the white and blue car, number 42. He's leading in the national class, but this is a demonstration again at the moment, Kelvin, from Alvaro Peret.
Yes, Ben, that's a healthy gap. Meanwhile, lunging inside, good opportunist move by Mike Conway, dived inside Kimball quite late on the brakes. They're on cold tyres still, relatively, these cars, so that's a brave and opportunist move. But Kimball with straight line speed coming back at Conway down to first corner, tweaks outside, back to the inside. No, not quite, but didn't quite carry that off, Conway.
Well, Conway made the move, didn't he? But Kimball didn't quite get back at him. It means that Conway's into 5th place now, and Conway needs some decent points out of this race if he's to maintain his championship lead. Oh, that was Kimball there, making a little mistake through the chicane and now covering the inside from James Walker in the black, orange and white car number 2, because he was very aware he was a bit slow out of that previous bend.
Yeah, you've got to use a lot of curve at the chicane, and Kimball perhaps took a bit too much, pushed him wide on the exit, which was why he had to then switch to defensive mode. But healthy gap from Peret, considering they've only done 2 laps. That's quite a considerable gap for an F3 car. Ryan Lewis going well again, and we're on board with Bridgman down the hill to the first corner.
Yeah, he's not too far behind Ryan Lewis, so Bridgman running in 4th place. Now, that's one of his best performances of the season so far. Lewis is a bit wide, though. Oh, he's nearly went off there, and somebody has gone off. It's Bridgman. Oh, no! Tim Bridgman. He was having a great run, and he's completely out of this race. He knows it instantly. No way he's rejoining. And Tim Bridgman is having a miserable time here at Knockhill.
Yeah, shame for Bridgman. He was going well. We saw Ryan Lewis lock his brakes slightly into that corner, possibly some stuff on the roads, which caused Bridgman to go off, but no real explanation of it.
On board here with Hollings, and that's Duran, the leader in the national class. He's just passed him. So Charlie Hollings has just taken the lead in the national class and trying to make it 2 wins out of 2 here at Knockhill this weekend, and getting his campaign back on track, I would say. He was out of luck at Croft, led the race there and went off, and now he's got a great opportunity, although Barton Moore's now with him. Duran's lost a couple of places to some championship class cars as well. Let's go back to what happened to Tim Bridgman.
Yeah, approaching Duffer's Dip, the first corner. This is the fastest corner on the lap. They take plenty of curve. Nothing wrong with that. Looked fine. You see in front Ryan Lewis just grab his brake, and strange one. No real explanation. Bridgman just didn't seem to turn. I don't know if there's some slippery stuff on the road or what.
Back to the battle for second place, the white and blue car. That's Ryan Lewis, all bouncing over the curb on the inside a bit too heavily. And that cost him a few car lengths to Marco Asma in car number 12, who's still in second. And right behind them, Mike Conway having a chance there to close up a fraction because of Lewis's tiny mistake into Clark curve. They come and, oh, Asma must have made a mistake. Suddenly we've got a battle for second here, and Lewis snatches his opportunity. Very bumpy on the inside, but he controls it beautifully. And Lewis is up into second. Conway will try to follow him. Asma shuts the door, but Ryan Lewis second, Asma third, Conway still fourth.
This is close, this is
Side
close.
by side, oh, Lewis is off. Lewis is through the gravel. Can he get back on? He has, but he's lost the back end of the car. Oh, and just avoided there by Charlie Kimball coming through. And Marco Asma and Ryan Lewis went into that first corner side by side, and that's always risky here.
Yeah, very narrow road. The road falls away, and it's not really wide enough for two. Here's a replay. Dropping down the hill. Very late, opportunist move by Asma. Very little room. He rides the curb on the inside, which perhaps pushes him wide, and also pushes Ryan Lewis wide. He spins round.
Into the pits comes Stephen Jelly. This is a separate incident. He's been off somewhere else, and he's taken the rear wing off as a result. That's not quite how it should look. No point in continuing. Meanwhile, this is Charlie Hollings, and I think he's got a bit of pressure on him here from Barton Moore. This is for the lead in the national class. Yeah, look how close the Australian who leads the championship, the national class championship, is. He's side by side with him as they go up the hill. Now, this is interesting. We've just seen what happens if you try to go into this first corner two abreast. Will they make it? Moore's on the inside, Hollings on the outside, cuts across the nose of Barton Moore and holds on to the national class lead.
Great late braking by Hollings. I mean, for my money, Barton Moore had that corner, and he just braked too early, gave the corner to Hollings.
Off! That's James Walker. Oh, that's someone else. That's Danilo Tirani. What's going on? This is the hairpin, and that's Lewis are now off as well. They're just scattered down there. There must be some sort of problem on board with Hollings. You can see those cars rejoining, and I think there was some fluid on the outside. Yes, there's Duran off as well. There's some fluid down there on the outside as they hit the brakes, and that's what's causing them to go off. It's Keiko Ihara's turn. Japanese lady racer in trouble. And let's see if we can spot it, Kelvin, from on board Kimball's car.
Slight skid pan practice. So he's braking there. Yeah, you can see the fluid there, and Kimball ran through it, but fortunately got away with it. There's Ihara just rejoining, but caused a lot of problems for many runners, that.
Well, that's certainly shaken things up a bit. Now, Hollings is on a tight line anyway, so he's still defending here from Barton Moore for the lead in the national class, the yellow and black car. It's a Lola. It's the car that Danny Watts drove, in fact, last year in the main championship class, but he's still under pressure here from Barton Moore, who now moves to the outside. He's trying to find a bit of space, but he's off on the gravel. Oh, surely he can't hold it. No, he can't. He bounces across the gravel through the grass. Well, he's back on again. And he's not actually lost a place. He's still second in the national class.
Yeah, very fortunate to rescue something from that. That's the quickest part of the circuit. Could have been a big accident.
Now, we're on board here with Charlie Kimball running in fourth place. Mike Conway just up ahead. A little bit of a gap, so he can't challenge into this corner. Oh, and suddenly there's smoke from the back of Conway. He's in trouble. He's in big trouble. The engine has let go, and he's off. He's off on his own oil, I think. Into the gravel, and look at that oil fire as well. It's all over in this race for Mike Conway.
Yeah, shame for him. Only a couple of laps to go, and nothing the driver can do about that. You saw he actually went off on his own oil.
So Alvaro Peret is the man in control here, and you know, with Conway going off like that, I think Peret's going to take over the championship lead. The man who missed the first two races of the season at Donington Park. There's Conway getting out of his car. This is just being handed on a plate now to Alvaro Peret. In number 14, the Portuguese driver will take over the championship lead as a result of Conway going out. And he's done it in style here at Knockhill.
Yes, Ben, great drive, confident, smooth, just aggressive enough, but never really looked flustered. Little slide into the corner and a bit more showboating out. Yeah, just lights the rears up for the crowd as he takes the flag. Great drive.
Fantastic result there for Alvaro Peret. And it's also 2 wins out of 2 races in Scotland for Charlie Hollings in the national class. But Marco Asma is still seeking his first win of the year, finishing second here after a mid-race clash with a still angry Ryan Lewis.
Ryan, what happened?
I think probably better off asking Marco, really.
Okay, from your point of view.
Well, he hit me. That's about it, really. Gave him plenty of room, and he still wanted my bit of the track, so...
Clearly you're very frustrated by that.
Yeah, I am, actually. Funny enough. But, you know, it's racing, isn't it? So what can you do?
Now, quite a controversial race there. Ryan Lewis said that you hit him on the track.
Well, that's his opinion. I didn't hit him. I was inside and he was trying to close, but I was inside. So I think it's simple as that. Yeah, I was inside, so I didn't hit him anywhere.
Those 2 wins have allowed Peret to go into the lead of the championship. Mike Conway ruining the loss of his engine during that race. Asma in third, ahead of Ryan Lewis, Danilo Durrani and Christian Backerud. And in the national class, Barton Moore has an 11-point lead over Salvador Duran, but Charlie Hollings has now moved up into 4th place on 61 points.
Hello there and welcome to the British Formula 3 International Series for rounds 9 and 10. Well, motorsport is generally associated with speed and they don't come much faster than Thruxton here in Hampshire. This is a circuit that really pushes the drivers.
Yeah, it's funny. It's very fast and everything, but with the Formula 3 car, with the downforce, it's everything is flat. You just go flat everywhere.
I think it's a cool track. I mean, there's not so much technical in it. It's just 2 chicanes and everything. The rest is just flat out.
Everything's a blur. It's just awesome. It's pretty cool.
Well, round 9 just about to get underway here at Thruxton, and we've got a new face taking pole position. It is the American Charlie Kimball. He'll be hoping to keep that chasing pack behind him. Here's Ben.
For the first time since returning to the series, Alvaro Peret does not start the race from pole. Instead, it's Californian Charlie Kimball upholding Carlin Motorsport honours. Vortex Mike Conway is second, ahead of championship leader Peret, who's third. Then Christian Backerud, the 20-year-old Dane, is in 4th place. High-tech teammates Tim Bridgman and Marco Asma start from the 3rd row. Ryan Lewis is hoping to celebrate team boss Russell Ecott's 40th birthday in style from row 4, and Charlie Hollings is the fastest qualifier in the national class. The high-speed sweeps of Thruxton circuit. Oh, but hang on, before we get into that, problems for Tim Bridgman. And they've just come round on the green flag lap. He's not going to take the start. Charlie Kimball goes away from pole position. It's a good start from the American. Mike Conway in 2nd place. And Marco Asma getting ahead of Christian Backerud as they get set off from the line. We're on board with Bruno Senna. Now we've got Stephen Jelly up to the left-hand side there. I wonder if we're going to be able to get down the inside into the complex. Asma's got down the inside of Peret for 3rd place. So he's gained a position. Senna's looking over. That's Barton Moore who's overtaken him. And he now leads Barton Moore in the national class, because behind Senna are his rivals in that national class. Salvador Duran's up there, so is Jonathan Kennard, but Senna is in between some of those national class runners.
Meanwhile, back to the chicane.
Oh, it's gone wrong for Walker, and I think Stephen Kane has gone across the chicane in avoidance as much as anything, and James Walker just lost it on the brakes. The cars are so light as they get on the brakes coming up here. There is the national class battle again. Barton Moore, Salvador Duran, the Mexican. First season of racing in the UK, but he's been very impressive this year. And then for 3rd in class, it's Kennard versus Hollings. And Hollings, who's come out of Formula Renault, knows this track well, but so does Kennard, and he's positioning his car very cleverly.
Yeah, he is. He's driving defensively, but not over-defensively as Hollings lunges inside at the complex, but that means he's now outside for the 2nd portion of the complex here.
Charlie Kimball has come to this track and just loved it from the first moment. He's been so impressive in qualifying. He has dominated this race, and he's going to take his first win of the season. He's won in Formula Ford in the UK, but it's his first win in the British F3 International Series. A great victory for Charlie Kimball, for Carlin Motorsport, and Marco Asma coming through to finish in 2nd. Christian Backerud taking 3rd ahead of Conway, and Ryan Lewis coming through in 6th place in the end. Now, what's going on in the national class? I think Barton Moore will take the win in the class, but this great race now for 2nd between Kennard and Hollings. Who's going to have it? Kennard's still trying to fend off Hollings right to the line. Nothing to choose. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Barton Moore takes the checker flag as the winner in class, and it's 2nd place for Jonathan Kennard, who just fends off Charles Hollings all the way to the line. It's a first win for Kimball, but it's the fourth second place of the season for Marco Asma. Mike Conway gained a fraction on Peret in the championship. Barton Moore won in the national class. Aircraft movements restricted today at Thruxton, the flying taking place a little closer to the ground. It's a good, healthy crowd to watch this second race of the day at Thruxton. Away they all go, and it's a good start from poleman. Charlie Kimball does it again. Peret slots into second position. Dan Clark trying to go around the outside of James Walker through the first corner. But it's Kimball, Peret, and then all three cars battling for third places. Bakkerud, Asma on the inside. Marco Asma, I think, might just take it. Conway's in there as well, but he went the long way around the outside. There's a three-way battle there in national class too, although I think Barton Moore has again made the best start there. It is Charlie Kimball who leads them all as they come out of the complex. Ryan Lewis, James Walker, Bruno Senna, all jostling for position, just as everyone is on this first lap.
Yeah, and all this side-by-side battling is going to help Kimball make another break, as he did in race one. Conway in the thick of that action again. He'll be hoping that he was a bit nearer to the front and able to concentrate on a clean line. Dropping down there, we see Charlie Hollings diving inside. He again in the thick of the action, as he was in the first race.
And look at this battle for sixth. Dan Clark in the black car, Mike Conway right behind, and Ryan Lewis there too. And they're going to try and make it three abreast up towards the chicane. This road's only as wide as a narrow country lane pretty much, and they're all three together, and Lewis going around the outside. Oh, he's turned in ahead, that's great, but behind them it's all gone wrong. Bruno Senna is off, he's hit the barrier there, and I think Danilo Durrani was off with him. Round the outside, Ryan Lewis still trying to defend from Mike Conway, having got past Conway and Clark. He now wants to stay there, but well, he's still going to have to battle. Senna is out of his car, end of the race for him, and Ryan Lewis still has Mike Conway very close to him as they come through the complex. I think he's just got the position. Yeah, he's in sixth place, seventh for Conway, and eighth place for Dan Clark. But Senna, unfortunately, out. So is Danilo Durrani. These two share a house. I don't think they're going to be saying a great deal on the way home tonight, sadly. Durrani out of the equation, and Bruno Senna definitely won't be restarting from there. Let's go to Diana in the pits.
Danilo, what happened?
Bruno got me in the braking. Just, I don't know, maybe he lost the brake point. I don't know.
There's Bruno out of his machine. I wonder how he's going to explain that to his mate. Let's see how it happened, Kelvin.
Yeah, we're on board with Senna. He's already exited the final flat-out church corner. Some way behind Durrani here, but he's in the slipstream. Durrani ducking and diving at James Walker in front of us. Senna closes the gap on the braking and seems to lose the back of the car and straight into the back of Durrani. Won't be very happy with that one, and it probably isn't his best driving experience this season.
No, sadly not for Bruno Senna. Not having the sort of success that his famous uncle had here at Thruxton, where he wrapped up the 1983 British F3 title. We're back to racing, though, and it's Charlie Kimball who leads from Alvaro Peret in second place. And it's not a good restart from Peret. In fact, he's got a bit sideways through Allard Corner, and Marco Asma is hunting him down now. Asma goes to the outside this time and trying to sweep through Campbell Corner. He's done it. He's got ahead. That was a good move from Marco Asma, and Peret better watch out here because Christian Bakkerud and Tim Bridgman and Ryan Lewis are all together, all trying to get past him. Bakkerud to the left, Bridgman to the right. We're on board with Lewis, Peret in the middle.
We're on board with Ryan Lewis here, following those two cars. Immediately in front of him is Tim Bridgman. All of this side-by-side battling, of course, is going to help, as it did at the start of the race, is going to help Charlie Kimball make the break and get some fresh air. And he's driving very well. He seems to have some sort of performance advantage. Inside Lewis comes Mike Conway.
And side by side, Conway and Clark. Look at that. Through Church Corner, the fastest corner here at Thruxton. And they both trounced Lewis there. But Lewis now has the inside line into the chicane. Can he get back at Conway? Oh, he's almost hit the back of Clark. Wow, I don't know how he missed him. And and we've got more cars. That's Peret and Bridgman off at the chicane. We just saw them from the onboard shot. There is Peret to the right. He's trying to rejoin, and to the left it was Tim Bridgman, and Bridgman was having one of his best runs of the season so far, and it's all gone wrong again for Tim Bridgman. Can't believe it. There he is in car number 11, and the reigning Formula BMW champion can't buy any luck.
Here we see it from another angle. Bridgman's a bit squirrely under braking and then tags Peret in the tightest part of the chicane where it's not really two-way traffic there. As the field streams through, they both try and spin turn to lose as little time as possible, but effectively the damage is already done in terms of a good result.
And in terms of championship, Kelvin, this could make quite a difference. Peret was leading coming into this race. I wonder what's going to happen. Let's concentrate first on Ryan Lewis, though, because he's got a brilliant slipstream here on Dan Clark. Look how he closes up, and Dan Clark can do nothing about it. And Ryan Lewis trying to go around the outside. He brakes late. He tries to squeeze into the corner. He's done it. He's got ahead of Dan Clark, and that's a brilliant manoeuvre from Ryan Lewis. He's been practicing that move, and he's worked it to perfection. He's in 4th place.
Great move, that. Great move. Brave, committed, and under control. Showed how it should be done.
Well, Clark may get back at him, don't forget, because on this circuit, it is the nature of the place that if you're tucked in behind somebody, you get a great run up the hill. See how it happened.
Here we see it from a different angle. Ryan Lewis on the right-hand side. They're neck and neck as they enter the braking area, and Lewis simply outbraked Dan Clark there. On the outside, more slippery, long the way round. Good move.
Yeah, good driving from Clark, though, to avoid hitting him as well. And Clark's got to watch out because he's now under pressure from Mike Conway. Now, with Peret well down the order, there's an opportunity here for Mike Conway to try and claim back the championship lead, but he needs to be further up than he is right now, and he's got to keep the pressure on Clark as they head down the hill through Church Corner. Lewis still ahead of them. Conway's had a great run here. Look how he's closing up on Clark, and he moves to the outside here. He's got a couple of wheels on the grass. He can't go through there, surely. Well, he can't, and he has to slot in behind Clark once again as they come up the hill, and Clark holds on to it. Right behind them as well, James Walker and Stephen Kane.
Yeah, a strange one perhaps by Conway. There wasn't really a gap there, but I didn't really see Dan Clark move across on Mike. Mike perhaps might have been wiser to go to the right-hand side, the more normal attack into the chicane, but Conway still close to Dan Clark as they approach the complex. Can he do him on the brakes? Maybe around the outside as Asma did earlier. No. Switch back to the left for this side. No way through there, so he perhaps got to line him up again on the fast part of the circuit which they're entering now.
But look, he went a bit wide there, didn't he? And that's allowed James Walker and Stephen Kane right behind to close up the gap. And Dan Clark's just controlling this group at the moment. And look, here comes Stephen Kane on the inside in the red car, in the Lola. He gets past James Walker, just saw a little gap and went for it.
Good opportunist move by Kane there, and as you rightly said, Ben, Dan Clark perhaps holding those three up a bit, being a little bit defensive, not overly defensive, he's not blocking or weaving, but he is seem to be bottling those three cars up behind him.
Well, it's up to them to find a way past. Our race leader, though, has no such troubles. He's got clear air in front of him, and behind it's Charlie Kimball. Here comes Conway again. Conway's got a great run round the outside. Can he do it? Dan Clark fends him off, and Conway has to go through the chicane. Well, he gains the place as a result of that, but I'm not sure he'll be allowed to keep that position if things stay as they are at the end of the race. Stephen Kane there in car number 8 almost had a run as well, but we're on to the final lap now, and the clerk of the course will maybe review that particular manoeuvre. It has put Mike Conway into 5th place, ahead of Dan Clark now, who's in 6th. But there's no doubt about our race leader. It's Charlie Kimball. He dominated the first race, and he's dominating the second race in much the same way.
Yeah, cool, calm and controlled. It's a great performance by the whole team. In fact, we had the first 3 on the grid made up of Carlin Motorsport. This is the Carlin Motorsport car, Charlie Kimball. Never been challenged through both of the races, and I think he sets fastest lap in this race also. So good result.
Yeah, he's coming through to take the double victory here at Thruxton. Danilo Dirani did it at Donington, the 2 wins in the same day. Peret did it at Knockhill, and now it's the turn of Charlie Kimball to do it at Thruxton. Great effort, and coming through to do the same, in fact, in the national class is Barton Moore. He's also done the double, and that will boost his championship lead even further in the class. So Charlie Kimball taking 2 wins out of 2 races at Thruxton, but Marco Asma again consistent in 2nd, Backerud in 3rd ahead of Ryan Lewis and Mike Conway, and Barton Moore took victory in the national class.
Charlie, another win. Obviously that smile on your face, obviously a great weekend.
Yeah, it's as good as it gets. Man, it's incredible. There aren't words to describe what I'm feeling, and I'm sure what the guys are feeling, because I can't thank them enough and for what they've taught me and what they've showed me this year.
In the championship, Asma has become the 4th different driver to lead the table, but Conway was indeed penalised 1 position in race 2 and now lies 3rd behind Peret. Barton Moore has stretched his advantage to 41 points over Salvador Duran, whose non-finish in race 1 has put him under threat from Charlie Hollings.
welcome to Castle Combe here in Wiltshire for rounds 11 and 12 of the Formula 3 International Series. Well, as you can see, the drivers are about to go out on their warm-up lap and line up for this race. Now, this is a circuit that always provides plenty of action, so the crowd, and they're out in force, should be in for some great race action. The F3 paddock has always held a special place in the hearts of some of the world's best drivers. David Brabham, fresh from driving at Le Mans for Aston Martin, was here visiting his old Formula 3 friends.
I haven't been to one of these races for years. I think the last time I went to an F3 race was back when Mark Webber was doing Formula 3. I went to Silverstone to watch him race, give him a bit of support, and that's a few years ago now. So, yeah, no, I'm actually quite enjoying it. I had a fantastic time when I did Formula 3. So I have fond memories, and it's great to be back amongst some of the crowd who actually are still involved in the sport when I left.
American Charlie Kimball is the man on form. He takes his third pole position from the last 3 races, so his confidence is running pretty high. Let's see what he can do today. Here's Ben.
He's also on for a hat-trick of wins if he can stay ahead and potentially move up from 6th place in the championship. Yorkshireman Dan Clark has taken his best grid spot of the season so far for Raikkonen Robertson Racing, ahead of Castle Combe 2004 winner Alvaro Peret. Mike Conway lines up in 4th, ahead of Ryan Lewis, and Jersey's James Walker, who has also enjoyed a season's best qualifying performance. Danny Watts is 7th. Championship leader Marco Asma is 8th, ahead of Dirani and Bridgman, and Salvador Duran is the national class pole sitter. There's a good crowd here at the Wiltshire venue as we get ready for round 11 of the series. The lights go out. It's a good start from both front row men, particularly Dan Clark in the black car. I think he's made a good getaway. Yes, he has. It's virtually 3 abreast as we head up the hill for the first time. On the inside is Charlie Kimball. On the outside, Alvaro Peret. And the black car of Dan Clark's in the middle. Who's it going to be? Round the first corner, Peret go very wide. Let's hope they all squeeze through here. Oh! Contact for Barton Moore. I think he's been hit by Charlie Hollings. You can see Hollings on the grass over there. Meanwhile, the leaders have made it through the S's. Peret's on the grass. And it's Dan Clark who emerges out of that chicane with the lead. Peret down in 2nd place. 3rd place is Ryan Lewis. And the pole sitter, Charlie Kimball, is back in 4th. Oh, and into the pits. Now, this is, I think, a drive-through penalty. Yes, confirmation. Well, you said that James Walker had a good start, and fortunately it was a little too good, and he's been penalised for it. Now Mike Conway is attacking. There he is in the number 26 car. He's got a chance there to get past Danny Watts. Oh, but Watts just has enough of an advantage. He's able to shut the door. It was very tight between the two of them, but Conway had to give his best in the end. There is Charlie Kimball. He's running in 3rd place behind Peret. Dan Clark definitely getting away out in front. This is a great run from Clark, yet to win a race in F3 in the UK, or anywhere for that matter. It's his first season in F3, and off goes Adam Khan. Oh, that's a big hit on the exit of the fastest corner, Camp Corner, and everybody's doing a fantastic job so far to avoid him. It's a stricken machine. Let's take another look at how it happened.
Now we see in slow motion the end of the incident, just bouncing back off the tyre wall, and that certainly is not where he wants to be sat.
Well, back to the racing, and Dan Clark hoping that he can just stretch out that advantage once again over Peret and Charlie Kimball. And if the pace he had in the first part of the race is anything to go by, he should be able to escape. But Peret, very experienced, of course, in F3. There is Clark then, turning into the top corner, Quarry Bend. He's driving for a new team as well, Raikkonen Robertson Racing. There is the leader in the national class, the blue and white car in the middle of the pack, Salvador Duran, who's had a couple of wins in the class, but he's under pressure from number 40, Josh Fisher. And Fisher's the local lad. He lives just 40 minutes down the road. Great opportunity for him. He raced in Formula BMW last year, looking for a way through. Oh, no, it doesn't come off, and he's across the grass. Can he get back on? He bounces. He does get back on, and I think he's still in 2nd in class. Oh, and off. A big spin there for Juha Anala, the Finnish racer. Well, he hasn't been hit either. Oh, no, that is a big hit. A big, big hit there indeed for Chonglu Meng, the Chinese driver. Now, he's gone off in a similar place to Adam Khan earlier on. That could be a very dodgy position. Let's hope he's okay. Dan Clark, race leader, yeah, he's out of the car, he's okay. But I wonder what the clerk of the course will make of that.
Yeah, that's a very hefty hit. That looks like the car's gone straight in, almost unabated speed at the quickest corner on the circuit, which they're approaching now, the last corner. See the yellow flags, Dan Clark gives it a wide berth. And yeah, red flag.
Well, Ian Watson, clerk of the course, deciding that that car definitely in a dangerous place, and he calls the race to its conclusion. So Dan Clark takes his first win in British F3. Salvador Duran won national, but there was one thing missing from Clark's victory.
So do you feel a bit cheated you didn't get that checkered flag for your first win?
Yeah, of course I do. No good photo finish, was it? A red flag.
But a win's a win.
A win's a win.
Round 12 just about to get underway, and in the national class Charlie Hollins takes pole position and T-Sport's Barton Moore is just behind him, but right up at the front of the grid it's Alvaro Peret. Here's Ben with the grid lineup.
It's pole number 6 of the season for the Portuguese driver, who now leads the points, but alongside him is Croft winner Mike Conway. Charlie Kimball is third ahead of reigning national class champion Ryan Lewis. Dan Clark is back in 5th place with some work to do, and Marco Asma is in 6th for high-tech racing. Danny Watts lines up in 7th position, James Walker is 8th from Dirani and Stephen Jelly, and as Diana mentioned, Charlie Hollings is fastest national qualifier. Well, the sun's appeared for the second race, and after a chilly start, the day is warming up nicely. Always a family day out at this southwestern venue. But who's going to be flying high after the second of the 2 races? Let's see. Peret starts from pole position. Can he convert that into victory? The lights go out. Who gets away? It's a good start, actually, from the pole sitter. It is Charlie Kimball that we're riding with. He's trying to take 2nd place from Mike Conway. Conway maybe not away quite as well. Kimball moving to the outside, and Peret under pressure over Avon Rise. Under heavy braking here, and side by side they go in. Kimball on the outside, Mike Conway on the inside in 3rd place. Let's hope they all make it through there safely. I think they have done. It's Alvaro Peret who leads. 2nd place for Kimball, Conway in 3rd, Ryan Lewis in 4th place, and Dan Clark in 5th position. There goes one of the marker posts. Somebody just cutting across the grass. I think it might have been Tim Bridgman, but otherwise everybody through there safely.
Yeah, good aggressive move, or an attempt of a move by Kimball, and again those two make a bit of a break to the rest of the field, and the usual sort of jostling for the minor positions. We're on board with Senna here, approaching the 2nd chicane. Take a lot of the curve. I think it's James Walker just in front of him. He's some way down the field. He won't be that pleased with his position, but he'll be looking to a good run and make up some places. Back to the leaders, Peret, and running wide there, Dan Clark out of the corner.
Yeah, and that's given Danny Watts a great opportunity here because he's got a momentum. He may be able to get past Clark. He moves to the right, almost on the grass at 140 miles an hour, wheel to wheel, on the brakes, and he's got the line as long as he doesn't run wide at the exit. Oh, that's neat. That's tidy from Danny Watts. Good experienced racing.
Yeah, good aggressive move that, and all under control. Risky, but paid off.
So Alvaro Peret is our race leader. Charlie Kimball running in 2nd, Mike Conway in 3rd, but you know, Conway is under some pressure from Ryan Lewis, who's currently running in 4th place. Peret has won here at Castle Combe in the past. He won here in 2004. He knows the circuit well. And, oh, Lewis has run wide. Danny Watts is up another place. He's up into 4th position now. Well, picking up the places here is Danny Watts. I wonder if he can get on terms with Mike Conway. There's our top 3, Peret, Kimball and Conway.
Yeah, great start by Danny Watts. He'll be looking good. And further back there, you see Ryan Lewis, who we saw run wide. He's probably got dirt and grass and stuff stuck to his tyres, so he'll be lacking grip for a few corners. And you can see how he's got the field stacked up behind him. The first 4 in front of him are breaking away, and Lewis has to defend over the top of the hill. Dan Clark tries around the outside move, doesn't come off. But yeah, for sure, looks like Lewis is lacking some speed again. He ran wide out of that corner. So he'll be driving on his mirrors for a few corners, and another oversteer, so he's struggling, yep.
Oh, Lewis on the grass this time, surely Clark now, but Lewis gets back on tarmac, and he's trying to drive, oh, they touch! They touch. There's tyre smoke coming off, and they're still side by side. We view now from on board Bruno Senna's car. Watch the cars ahead, side by side. Oh, they almost touch. I think Lewis had two wheels on the grass, and he's ended up losing the place as a result of that. And in fact, Lewis, I think, also being passed there. As Senna, well, what is he doing? Nowhere to go, so he goes straight across the grass, re-emerges right behind James Walker, and in fact loses a place to Tim Bridgman as well.
Some manic racing. They're earning their money here, and yeah, Lewis, as usual, in the thick of the scrapping. I think, though, he has...
That's Bridgman! Tim Bridgman! Oh, my goodness! He was only just missed by several cars there. We're riding with Senna, Bruno Senna, that is. He's got a run on James Walker. Can he do the move into Quarry? He'll have to go around the outside. Walker sensibly holds the inside, and he can't do it. Walker has enough speed through the corner.
Good defensive driving by Walker there, and here's a replay of this. Oh, it's so close, Bridgman there. Lucky not to be collected.
Very lucky, Tim Bridgman, and he's still not having a good time of it. There is Barton Moore leading in the national class. Charlie Hollings running in second, and off again. It's Adam Kahn. Now it's a different place that he's gone off. Oh, and also off on the same lap is Tim Bridgman. Well, what a terrible time he is having. The safety car on circuit, no great surprise with cars littered about the place. But that was a big accident for Adam Kahn. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, replay. Kahn's the red car here, and looked strange to start with, but I think I saw as he hit the grass, I think the left front steering link was broken, so maybe that was the cause, and problems also for Ryan Lewis as he coasts into the pits.
Yeah, he's being pushed in. Looks like a mechanical problem for Ryan Lewis, so he goes out of it. So Mike Conway still in fourth place with Dan Clark in fifth, Marco Asma in sixth, but Alvaro Peret it is who leads, as he has done from the start of this race, from pole position. Charlie Kimball is chasing him, and Dan Clark's got a bit of a run on Mike Conway as they head up towards Avon Rise and Quarry Corner for fourth place. Here is the battle, and Clark's ahead in the black car. The winner of the first race here at Combe, just nipping ahead of Conway, and unless Conway's got a good run here, no, not good enough anyway. So Dan Clark takes over fourth place. Meanwhile, Diana is with Ryan Lewis.
Ryan, that's a disappointing end to your race. It was going quite well.
Yeah, I think I had a problem right from the start of the race, really. I feel something on the first couple of green flag laps, and said to the team beforehand it didn't seem to want to pull away very well. It wasn't pulling, and it's obviously worked the cam belt loose as well, which gives us a bit of a terminal engine problem. So that's done and dusted for the day.
Into the closing stages of the race, I don't think Kimball's going to be able to do it. In fact, he's dropped back a bit now into Camp Corner. Oh, and he's off the power, he's run wide, he's off! Kimball's off, he spins, and he's right in front of everybody. Oh, Danny Watts and Dan Clark passing him on either side. Look at that left front tyre has come off the rim.
Yeah, that's unusual. We don't know whether that was the cause of the spin or whether it happened during the spin, and they've stopped the race. The car, again, in a dangerous position on the exit of the fastest corner. He jumps over the barriers for safety.
Well, another red flag at Combe, but that surely has to be the right decision because that car left in a very vulnerable position. Another look.
Replay, leader Peret goes through, and there's Kimball, strange line through the last corner. I suspect that tyre was already deflating.
Sadly, Charlie doesn't feature in the results as he was not running when the red flag came out, and that means that Danny Watts takes second. Barton Moore took the win in the national class, but it's win number 4 of the year for Carlin Motorsport driver Alvaro Peret.
The team did a great job with the car again, and everything went very smooth and just perfect for me.
After the 2 races at Combe, Peret has converted a 5-point deficit into an 18-point advantage over Asma. Conway, though, now under pressure from Dan Clark. And in the national class, Barton Moore has been able to extend his lead further. It's 40 points over Durand.
This week we're at one of the world's most famous racetracks. We're at Monza here in Italy as the British Formula 3 International Series heads into Europe.
Monza is...
It's the quickest circuit in Europe.
Monza.
It's an incredible circuit. It's so much fun to drive.
Yeah, it's very charismatic. It's rich in history.
I think the best part is in the race, the first lap.
The long straight and the very high speed and in the forest. So feeling very, very nice.
Very quick,
You know, lots of braking zones. It's going to be very good racing, lots of overtaking, and I think you're going to see one of the best races of the season this weekend.
Well, man of the moment, Charlie Kimball takes pole position on his first visit here to Monza. But to be honest, for most of the grid, it's their first visit also. So anything can happen. Here's Ben.
Charlie Kimball has now taken at least one pole position at each of the last 3 events, and the American is impressing everyone in his first season of British F3. Second fastest is his Carlin Motorsport teammate and championship leader, Alvaro Peret. Ryan Lewis is third for T-Sport, and Marco Asma, who's second in the points, starts fourth. James Walker's had his best qualifying performance of the year. Bridgman is sixth, Mike Conway is seventh, and Costa-Coombe winner Clark is eighth. Fastest national class runner is Josh Fisher, and he's on row number 6. It's the first ever British F3 race at Monza. And it's a beautiful day as well. 29 cars set off as the lights go out. Charlie Kimball going from pole position, but Alvaro Peret, the Portuguese driver's right there with him. Look at them, side by side, heading down towards the first braking area, the first chicane. And how many times have we seen problems here in Grand Prix in the past? Peret gets in front, Asma's on the grass. Asma spins right in front of the pack, who have to take to the grass in avoidance, but miraculously, I think they all do so. The Finn, Juho Anala going right down the escape road, but everybody's got through that chicane. Here we go, Kelvin, out onto the really fast sections of this Monza circuit.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. The Lesmo corners here, famous we know from Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is held here, and again another tigering fighting drive from Ryan Lewis, but he missed the apex there, and you can see the result. Exits the corner wide into the gravel and loses at least one place.
Yeah.
This is a long drag, he may lose another.
Well, I think he could do. That was James Walker just going through. It was Tim Bridgman who's already gone through. That's a great shame for Ryan Lewis, just losing out a couple of spots on his opening lap after a good initial getaway. Maybe he can come back at him. This is where he can try and pick up the toe and get closer and closer to Walker, coming up to the Parabolica. This is quite a tricky right-hand bend coming into to finish off the lap. He goes in a bit wide. Oh, that's why Dan Clark's hit Walker, and Ryan Lewis is also taken off in the same accident. Oh, he'll be gutted about that. It looked as though he'd left the door open. He saw a car coming, but it still went wrong for him. Now, look, further back, great battle going on in the national class, and cars all over the place. That's the advantage here at Monza. You can really spread out. Alvaro Peret leads overall, but in the national class, it's Jonathan Kennard in the white and blue car, just ahead of Josh Fisher in the silver and black machine, and they're in behind one of the championship class contenders, Ronan Armani, but the others all very close. This is the battle for fourth place, but unfortunately, Ryan Lewis is not in it.
Dan Clark was quite close behind me. He got a good turn me all the way up the straight and all the way down to Parabolica. He's alongside me, so fair enough. His corner, I've given him the corner, given him plenty of room. I let Dan go to the inside of me, and he decides he's going to have a lunge at James Walker as well. Due to Dan, it's now taken out 2 other people and finished his day as well, all on the first lap. So thumbs up, Dan. Well done, mate.
Meanwhile, Bridgman in car number 11 in third place, but for how much longer? Because we've got Dirani and Conway both attacking into Parabolica. Bit of a slide there from Bridgman. Oh, he hits the grass on the outside. They're 3 abreast. Look at Conway. He's grass cutting on the inside. Dirani's in the middle, and Bridgman on the outside there. Looks as though he might be struggling a bit with that car as they head down towards the chicane. He's lost 2 places in one go, and it's now Conway on the inside trying to take that third place. Dirani in the middle. I'm not sure which one of these is going to win the late braking battle, and Bridgman definitely in trouble. That car's all over the place. He can't even slow it down.
Spectacular battle, I think, for sure, Ben. As you said, Bridgman's got a problem, possibly a puncture on the right-hand rear. Was smoking a bit there. Yeah, let's see if we can see it on the replay. You can see he's struggling to stop the car. His left front wheel locking, which normally is the result of a right rear diagonally opposite puncture.
Oh dear, and he is deeply upset, and that's not surprising because he's struggled to get a result this year, and he was in third place initially. He was still in 5th when it all went totally wrong for him, but it does look as though a puncture's caused that. Now, good race for 4th place in national class. The black and yellow car of Charlie Hollings versus Jonathan Kennard in the white and blue car. And Josh Fisher, number 40, is there as well. Hollings with the light. Oh, they almost interlock wheels there.
Yeah, risky stuff that. And also, I think Fisher had a little nudge up the rear there.
So poor Jonathan Kennard getting into a spin as a result. He's raced here in the past in Formula Palmer Audi, the championship he won last year. But here come the race leaders, and look at Charlie Kimball moving all around the back of Alvaro Peret's car. Peret a little wide into Parabolica this time. Could be a great opportunity this for the American. Now, this is where the car begins to use the hole in the air that the car in front has created to pick up speed. Here we go, here we go. It's like hitting a turbo button.
Yeah, look how much he pulls in, and easily in front before they reach the braking area. In fact, Peret manages to tow back onto Kimball, but he'll be brave to get it around the outside there. You see Kimball just squeezes him a little bit wide to keep the advantage, and good dicing.
Well, Kimball's been patient, hasn't he, for so long in this race, but now he's gone for it. We're into the closing stages, but Peret himself is now back down the inside. Now, this is an interesting one. They'll be side by side into the braking zone for the chicane, the second chicane, and I think Peret, he nearly tried to go around the outside, but that would have been risky, and it could have taken both cars off. So I think sensibly he decided to just slot in. Watch in the mirror, you could just see the car. He's through again.
Great racing, yeah. You saw him duck out of the slipstream into these Lesmo corners. The team say he's back in the lead. They're happy with it. Lesmo 2 now. Kimball takes some speed through, and too much speed. Run wide, quite a big clatter over the curve, and look, immediately he's lost 5 or 6 car lengths, so that's going to make his job harder for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, and it is only the rest of this lap that he's got to go, because we're on to the final lap, and Alvaro Peret will glance in his mirror, see the black, white and red car a fraction further back, and that will give him a sense of relief, I'm sure. Into Parabolica, and Kimball's not close enough, I don't think, to really pick up that toe. Peret is so good at that last corner. He's so clean on the perfect line, and he is going to take the victory here at Monza. Peret weaves his way over the line. Kimball has to settle for second place, but what a great duel these two teammates have had, and a great display of clean racing. So Peret wins from Kimball in second, Irani finishes third, ahead of Mike Conway and Christian Backerud, and Barton Moore wins in the national class.
It was really hard to pull away, and it was not possible, and at the end I had a really nice fight with my teammate, clean fight, and some good overtaking, and I managed to win, and I'm feeling great.
Bit like the go-karting days where it's just back and forth and back and forth, and I made a couple mistakes early on, and that sort of ruined it. I mean, it's a podium, it's Carlin 1-2, it's fastest lap. I think it's okay, it's just not a win.
Well, round 14 just about to get underway here at Monza, and there's been some frantic action because in the earlier race, Bruno Senna, Ryan Lewis and James Walker all went off, but the teams have been working flat out to get all the cars back here on the grid. They've made it, they're all lining up. Here's Ben with the grid.
Alvaro Peret just beat Charlie Kimball to pole position for this one. The dry qualifying session still proving the competitiveness of the setups employed by Carlin Motorsport. Marco Asma has taken third in his high-tech prepared car. Mike Conway's fourth for Fortec. Then it's the Lola of Danilo Dirani and the repaired Delara of Ryan Lewis. Tim Bridgman is seventh ahead of Bruno Senna, then Clark and Backerud, whilst in only his fourth race in national class, Ben Klukas has taken the pole position for Fluid Motorsport. Well, there's problems immediately for Marco Asma. He's not made it onto the grid, and that is desperately disappointing for the man who came into this Monza meeting second in the championship. Here we go then, ready to get the race underway. This time it's Peret from pole and Kimball from second place. It was the other way round in the first race. Will Peret make it to the front? Well, they're side by side already towards the chicane. Watch in the midfield as well. It can all go wrong very easily here as they get under braking. Kimball a bit of a weave, but through there safely. Dirani also a bit tight for him. We're on board with Barton Moore. Oh, and there's a little bit of a touch there. Stephen Jelly goes out into the gravel track, gets back onto the tarmac again, and I think remarkably that there's been virtually no incident, no real contact through that chicane, and they're all onto this first lap and picking up the speed now as Peret leads. Second place for Kimball, and third place I think is Mike Conway, or just being squeezed out there maybe by Tim Bridgman. A little bit of contact I think on the back of Ryan Lewis's car.
Yeah, that's, as you said, Ben, it was remarkable that they all managed to get through the first corner, but there's certainly something going on there at the second chicane as Renee Nomani rejoins through the gravel trap, and out is Dan Clark, so possibly that was the damage. We'll go on board here with Barton Moore, national class. He might get a view of what happens in front there. There's Dan Clark spinning and various others locking locking up, taking to the grass. Someone else on the gravel there. I think that's Christian Bakkerud rejoining. Yeah, busy stuff.
It was a bit exciting, wasn't it? And Dan Clark, of course, he didn't finish the first race. Now he's not finished this one either. So he won at Combe last time, but not going so well here at Monza. Dirani trying to get past Conway there with Ryan Lewis right behind him. And here we are on board with Ryan Lewis. He got taken out in that incident with Dan Clark and James Walker, but he's flying now. He's picked up the slipstream, and he should be able to take this position, I think, as they come across the line. It's still very, very tight.
Yep, and looks as though Dirani's coming back now at Ryan Lewis under braking for the first chicane. Yeah, he's done him, so that's actually 2 slipstreaming overtaking manoeuvres within the space of 1 straight. Diana in the pits.
Marco, obviously you had a bit of a problem with the car. What was it?
I think the first gear broke, so I'm not sure, but I think it's that, just the gear brake.
Clearly not where you want to be at this moment in time.
Oh, it's very bad. I think I'm still optimistic, but I think we have a little chance for the championship now. It's
still a wonderful race going on for 4th here, and Dirani just getting past Mike Conway. Keiko Ihara in the pits. Looks as though they're inspecting the left front suspension. Back on board with Ryan Lewis, and now he's been passed by James Walker. Walker seems to be going very well here at Monza's, qualified well, racing hard, but we've got another car off. Oh, the yellow flags down there. It's Cheng Lu Meng who's gone off. Let's see what happened.
There he is in the replay in the background, flying across the gravel trap. Just got his line wrong there, but I think he recovers from it initially. Yeah, there he comes, and he loses control of it on the grass. So he did the most difficult bit, and a bit of a dope moment.
On board with Barton Moore, and Charlie Hollings just managing to squeeze past him now. This is the race for 2nd in national class. A little further ahead is Ben Klukas, doing a fantastic job. Only his 4th race in British F3, and he's leading the class at the moment. He's got a decent advantage over these two, who are still dicing hard. And here comes Barton Moore back at... Oh, Hollings, there's contact. Wing end plate to rear tyre. That's not good news at all. Oh, and they're both passed by Stephen Jelly down the outside, and now Hollings in trouble. Oh, he must have punctured the tyre in that contact because he's gone straight on.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Ben. We definitely saw the tyre deflate as he was braking for the chicane, and straight on he went. And another bit of damage here on one of the Carlin cars. That front wing's seen better days.
Yeah, that's Christian Bakkerud, and there's another one of their cars. That's Ricardo Teixeira, who's off. Meanwhile, Barton Moore's being walked away. Now, what's happened to him? Well, he's gone off at Parabolica. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, we're on board with Moore. Relatively long straight into the braking area for Parabolica. We're approaching it now, and he starts to brake. You can see the left front wheel is in the air, actually locked, and the car isn't slowing down at all, and that's quite a hard impact into the tyre wall. Different angle. He's got damage to the wing as well as that left front wheel locking. I think he had a rear puncture, which actually took the weight off the front tyres.
Well, 3rd place battle going on here between Dirani and Tim Bridgman. And Tim Bridgman, after suffering that puncture in the first race, is desperate to get some points on the board here. Oh, and he's so close. There's a bit of bodywork going flying as well. Don't know if that was a bit of wing or what it was. And now he's gone through, but he's cut the chicane to do it. Well, he might get into trouble for that. He was warned earlier this weekend. All drivers have been warned not to cut the chicanes, and certainly not to take an advantage by cutting the chicane. And he has done that there. He's moved back into 3rd place.
Yeah, it was a fairly heated battle that. You could see the two guys weaving on the straight, approaching the chicane, and I think Bridgman's anxiety got the better of him there, his anxiety to take the place, and it was a bit of a naughty one. Here we go, a replay of it. You see him rejoining in easily in front of Dirani, but not really the way to do it.
No, if perhaps he'd allowed him back past, he might not get into trouble, but he may get into trouble for that. We'll have to wait and see what happens. So he's still in 3rd place. He's got Dirani behind him, and then Mike Conway looking for an opportunity to go past both of them, if he can. Out of Parabolica they come then. Now, will Dirani pick up the toe here? Looks as though he's going to pick it up very early indeed. Bridgman's determined to try and break that toe. He's only scored 2 points in the championship so far this year, so he desperately needs to add to his tally. He's had all sorts of bad luck and all sorts of incidents, and he wants to get a finish here. Dirani trying to go with him and into the chicane, and Bridgman's gone straight on. Oh, he's gone straight across the grass. He didn't even seem to try and turn in.
Strange one. He didn't look to me, Ben, as if he was struggling to stop the car. And as you say, he didn't make much effort to make the corner. So the result of it is he's got quite a nice advantage to the two following. Back to the leaders here.
Yes, and it's the last lap too, and I don't think that Charlie Kimball's close enough to really attack this time. as they come up towards the Ascari chicane. Peret with a very healthy advantage. He's driven superbly once more, hasn't he?
Yes, Ben. In fact, both of these two guys have had a great day. Professional, clean, hard racing, cool as well under pressure, and the result, they've made it look relatively easy. They've both got their confidence up. They've had good races, 3 or 4 last meetings now, and here they are into the last corner.
Yeah, this is going to be great news for Peret in the championship as well. And for Kimble, a second place, that's going to move him up the order too. But Alvaro Peret, unbeaten here at Monza in the 2 races. He celebrates again as he comes across the line. A perfectly driven race from Alvaro Peret. And it's a Carlin 1-2 as Charlie Kimble takes second place. Dirani in third makes it the same top 3 as before. But it's a first win in national class for Ben Klukas. A third race was also held at Monza to replace the fog-bound Spa event from April. The conditions were somewhat better in Italy, as Peret led them away from pole position. But as Charlie Kimble's view of the first corner proved, it wasn't an ideal start for Dan Clark. In the middle of the corner, Peret was given a helping hand to execute a half spin. Charlie Kimble emerged intact, but the race was being led by Asma from Tim Bridgman as they headed into the second chicane, only for Tim to clip the back of his teammate, which sent Asma pirouetting. While Kimble worked his way to the front following that, the recovery drive of the race was being executed by Alvaro Peret, who dropped to 13th, but still came through to win. It was 3 wins out of 3 races for the amiable Portuguese driver, and it's given him a 58-point lead over Charlie Kimble in the championship. But Kimble's leapt from 7th place to 2nd. Conway is still 3rd, but Marco Asma and Baccarud are now tied for 4th. In the national class, Barton Moore had a win, a crash and a 4th place, but still leads the table from Duran, while Fisher has overtaken Hollings for 3rd.
Hello there and welcome to Silverstone for rounds 15 and 16 of the British Formula 3 International Series. Now this week our drivers are out on the full Grand Prix circuit, but I have to say they're getting pretty used to it after their last time out at Monza. Here at Silverstone we've had an extra race to make up for the cancel round at Spa earlier in the year. Here's Ben to tell us what happened.
The grid lined up according to the qualifying session from Spa, which meant for the first time this year, Promotechnic driver Stephen Kane had a clear view ahead from the best spot on the track. Ryan Lewis was with him on the front row, while Charlie Kimble and Bruno Senna were on the second. And a great start from the American Kimble saw him pass Lewis and pick up the chase of Stephen Kane, who'd started the race on a very worn set of tyres. The lack of grip caught the leader out at Stowe Corner and Kimble moved ahead, while Kane came under fierce attack from both Senna and Ryan Lewis. That allowed Charlie Kimble to put his head down and make a break, which was to be assisted just a few corners later, first by a spin from Lewis, which delayed Stephen Kane, and then by a mistake by Brazilian Bruno Senna as he came into Priory. The resultant off allowed Peret into second place as Bruno Senna relieved his frustration on the Silverstone debris fence. The passions run deep in South American drivers. Slightly less animated after a scary ride upside down was Finland's Juha Anala. The incident took place after contact with Ronan Armani in car number 3, who found himself the innocent victim later when Barton Moore spun. Charlie Kimble stayed out of trouble to record his 3rd win of the season by a comfortable 4-second margin over teammate Alvaro Peret and top British driver Dan Clark in 3rd place. It was the 5th time this season that Carlin Motorsport had taken a 1-2 finish, and with the fastest lap also going to Kimble, the outfit was clearly in good shape at Silverstone. Dirani was 4th in the Lola, Asma and Conway completed the top 6, while Charlie Hollings won the national class. But no one could catch Charlie Kimble.
Last time out, Alvaro Peret won all 3 races at Monza. This week here at Silverstone, he's on pole position, and he's now definitely the man to beat.
It's pole number 8 of the season for Alvaro Peret, and he's looking for win number 8 as well. Marco Asma was only a fraction slower to line up in second place, but he's still chasing his first win of the season. Charlie Kimble lines up 3rd ahead of top British driver Mike Conway, and then the pair of Lola chassis of Dirani and Stephen Kane on the 3rd row of the grid. Raikkonen and Robertson teammates Clark and Senna are next, followed by James Walker and Christian Baccarud, and Mexico's Salvador Duran is on pole for the national class. Here we go then, the full Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone, and away we go, the lights go out, and it's very tight in the middle. Oh, and off, hitting each other. That was Stephen Kane hitting into Bruno Senna, both into the pit wall, but I think there might have been some contact with someone else to start all that off. And Ryan Lewis here going through Copse corner has been passed by Christian Bakkerud. I think Alvaro Peret has got away well from the front row of the grid, but Ryan Lewis now trying to get back past Christian Bakkerud as we come through Beckett's complex for the first time. Can't quite make it, and he has to slot into position, but I'm sure we're going to see the safety car come out after this incident on the pit straight.
Here we have a alternate view of the start on board with Bakkerud. A bit of a delay, and immediately in front of Bakkerud, those two cars, Kane and Senna, cannon into the pit wall. That's the end of their race.
Stephen, what happened there?
Basically, I got off the start fine. Just had a bit of wheel spin, and Dan Clark came along and just wiped me out and pushed me into centre. So it was nothing to do with Bruno. He was just coming up the inside, but when Dan hit me, it just knocked me into his path.
So nowhere to go?
No, nowhere to go.
Here we are, another view of the start overhead camera, and it's Dan Clark in the black car that gets a really quick start, going through a closing gap. He just tags Stephen Kane, and it's unfortunately a typical start line incident, and there's the two cars, Senna and Kane, in the wall.
Right, we're ready for the restart. Safety car back in. Alvaro Peret leads. He's chased by his own teammate Charlie Kimball, and Mike Conway is in a strong third place. Behind them, it's then Marco Asma running in fourth position. Down into Copse corner they come. He's chased by Dan Clark and Danilo Dirani. We're on board with Ryan Lewis, and Lewis trying to go around the outside at Copse. Where's he going? Way off wide.
Yeah, Lewis battling hard with Christian Bakkerud, who I think the car of Bakkerud there is still on the right of Ryan Lewis as they go into Beckett's. Bit of a slide from Lewis, has to use the curb, and another big slide here in the middle part of Beckett's now. That means he's going to be slow out onto the hanger straight where they are now, and I suspect he'll be defending his position all the way down this long straight to Stowe Corner because he came out slow.
Yeah, he's staying over to the right-hand side, and somebody else, no doubt, will be trying to go past him as they come down towards Stowe Corner, so he's got to brake late, but no, he's passed, and it's Tim Bridgman who was attacking. Meanwhile, Bruno Senna, Stephen Kane, at least they can have a laugh about that incident off the start line.
Into the pits comes Spartan Moore.
Yeah, this is disappointing for the Australian, the man who's led the national class championship pretty much throughout the year, but that spin won't help his cause, particularly when his big rival, Salvador Duran, is leading the class. The Mexican's going very well at this stage. There we are, looking at Ryan Lewis. What's his line this time like? Well, it's much the same. He seems to be a standard line for him.
And look at the speed he's got. He actually seemed to profit from that, and I'm pretty sure he's doing that on purpose. It looks like a mistake, but he seems to be pulling it off, but not that quick through Beckett's. I think he's relatively safe.
Yeah, he is the bravest of the brave, though, isn't he? There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Look at Walker under attack from Tim Bridgman right behind. Meanwhile, Alvaro Peret is coming out of the final corner to take yet another victory in the British F3 International Series. Across the line he comes. The checker flag is waved, and it's a celebratory weave down the pit straight. The Carlin boys are happy. There's no doubt that Carlin Motorsport is the informed team at the moment with a 1-2. Mike Conway was best of the rest in third, ahead of Marco Asma, and Salvador Duran took his 5th win of the year in the national class. But for the 8th time this season, the race winner is Peret.
Alvaro, many congratulations. Another win. Is there no stopping you?
Yeah, well, we also did a good job here with the car setup. The car was perfect, and I managed to pull away in the start and managed to get a bit of a gap and win the race.
So it's 1-1 to the Carlin teammates, but racing isn't over yet. Join us after the break for round 16. Welcome back to Silverstone, round 16 just about to get underway here. Marco Asma takes pole position, and the man of the moment is alongside him, Alvaro Peret, and his teammate and usual sparring partner, Charlie Kimball, starts in 5th. So anything could happen during this race. Here's Ben.
Asma has been fast all year, but this is only the 2nd pole position for the man who actually led the series after the Thruxton rounds. Alvaro Peret starts alongside him, and he's won 5 of the last 6 races. Mike Conway and Danilo Dirani are on the 2nd row of the grid, and then Charlie Kimball starts from 5th place while Stephen Kane is 6th. Then it's Bruno Senna and James Walker. Dan Clark and Ryan Lewis are on row 5, and Salvador Duran is on pole once again in the national class. Right, let's hope we get a clean start this time. Asma makes a bit of a start, then falters for a moment. Away we go. Asma won't be too pleased with that. I'm not sure he's got away too brilliantly. Peret is very fast away. Oh, we've got dust in the background and smoke. Somebody's hit the pit wall again. Oh, that's slightly further down the order. I think that's Charlie Holling's car. And he's hit the wall hard. There's Jonathan Kennard just getting going once again. It's Peret who leads, and Charlie Hollings clambering out of his car. Well, he'll be absolutely gutted as well. It looks as though he could have been on for another good result in the national class. Walker trying to go around the outside at Stowe. That doesn't work for him. And I think everybody else getting away cleanly. Peret it is who leads, Conway in second, Kimball in third, Asma's fourth, then it's Senna, and then a whole bunch of cars all trying to make their way into Club Corner together. Oh, it's gone wrong again, and that's poor old Ryan Lewis. Ryan Lewis has to rejoin, and he's lost a whole host of places. We're all set to go for the restart now, and Alvaro Peret leads Mike Conway as he gets the hammer down out of Luffield Corner. Conway in second, third place for Charlie Kimball. Good restart though from Marco Asma. Look at him, he's closing right up to the back of the American as they come across the line and take the green flag. And Asma definitely going on the attack. He's trying to go all the way around the outside at Copse Corner. Oh, that's a great move from Asma. Onboard view from Charlie Kimball, nothing he could do about it.
Fantastic move that, Ben. Very brave around the outside on relatively cold tyres. Remember, they've only done one racing lap, so they haven't got a lot of grip in their tyres, and that's a brave and confident move. And good, mind you, he's run wide here. This might be another chance for Kimball to regain the place. He's in the slipstream of Asma onto the hanger straight, which is a long straight, and yeah, look at the car go. Gets the suction effect and pulls alongside. He's on the outside in a fairly cocky wave from Kimball, but they're still neck and neck into Stowe Corner, and Asma's kept the position.
Oh, well, yes, Kimball waved a bit too early there, I think. Oh, there's a screech of tyres, and that's Asma. Marco Asma off from second place. Well, there's more drama. I think he's going to be able to rejoin. He hasn't hit anything, but Senna has gone through, and he's now up into third place.
Yeah, Ben, that's lost him a place, and maybe another place here. Stephen Kane, the red car, comes through with speed, but that's an unusual place to go off there. Here is Senna inheriting that third place, and Beckett's complex, the three left, right, left corners out onto the hanger straight. Do we get a replay? We're on board with Kimball here, approaching Copse Corner. Marco Asma in front of us, and yeah, you see him drop the wheel onto the grass as he turned into Copse. It's an unusual one, but driver error, unfortunately.
Well, Bruno Senna is now third, the nephew of the late great Ayrton Senna in his first season of British F3. There is his sister Bianca watching. She looks pretty calm at the moment, but this is an exciting moment for that team and for the Senna family. Much less experience than his uncle when he came to race in the UK. Bruno hasn't got the same sort of background, but he's on for a great result. We're on the final lap. It looks like Alvaro Peret is going to win again. Not a great surprise to see that result, because he has just been in dominant form in this mid-season section. Second place goes to his teammate Charlie Kimball. But what a story! Coming through in third place will be Bruno Senna, his first podium finish in the British F3 International Series. The team are delighted. It's now 6 wins out of the last 7 races for Alvaro Peret, and Carlin again celebrate a 1-2 finish. Behind Senna, Kane was a strong 4th, and Duran won the national class. But the story of the race is Bruno Senna's first podium finish.
Finally.
Well, you did it at last. I'm assuming with all that jubilation, you're ecstatic about that.
Oh, I can't believe, really. It's so good. Finally being the podium. Had such a good opportunity the first race. And now, even with all the problems that we had, I'm thrilled. No words to express my feeling.
Well, you battled your way through the pack really well there.
Yeah, it was good. All the race was very good. No big mistakes from my and had a cracking start. Just lots of overtaking on the start. So really paid off now to be there.
We had 8 drivers still capable of winning at Monza. Now, following Silverstone, really just 2 drivers in it, Alvaro Peret and Charlie Kimball. And in the national class, things have changed around, because Barton Moore, who's been leading pretty much throughout the season, has now been passed in that series by Salvador Duran, who's on great form.
Hello there and welcome to the British Formula 3 International Series, where this week we're in Germany at the awesome Nurburgring, which is just over there. It's our 3rd visit in a row for our drivers to a Grand Prix track. First, there was a fast and furious Monza, then it was the technical turns of Silverstone, so who knows what challenges this one will present.
kind of like Silverstone with the nature of the corners. You've got the gradient as well, which obviously Silverstone doesn't have. There's some really exciting corners that aren't flat but nearly flat.
It's a good place for racing. You know, there's plenty of overtaking places.
It was a dream of mine to drive on the big one, and it's fantastic. I want to go there again today and do many laps.
It's a very nice track with a lot of cambered corners and quick corners, slow corners. It's fun. I'm enjoying.
Turn 1, 2, 3, and 4 complex are mighty difficult because of the crests and the brows and the undulations, and that really adds to the character of the track.
But now with Spa, with Monza, you know, with Nurburgring, with Silverstone, Donington is a good track too. It's getting good for all the drivers.
The man to beat, Alvaro Peret, takes pole position here at the Nurburgring in Germany, and if he can score 20 points more than his teammate and rival Charlie Kimball, who starts in 8th position, he could clinch the title. Here's Ben.
It's Alvaro Peret's 9th pole position, and he has more than double the number of anyone else. His advantage in qualifying was almost 4/10 over Marco Asma, who's currently 3rd in the points, and over Danilo Dirani, the Brazilian, driving the Lola. Top grid is Mike Conway, but Dan Clark and James Walker are close in attendance, while Bruno Senna has qualified 7th on the grid, and Charlie Kimball is 8th. They're followed by Ryan Lewis and the best national qualifier, Salvador Duran, who's ahead of no less than 5 championship class cars. Away we go then, and trying to make a good getaway is Alvaro Peret, but he's failed. He's not made a good start at all. It's Mike Conway, who's made a brilliant getaway in the red and white car. He leads, Marco Asma right behind him. Dan Clark trying to go around the outside as they come in, and they make contact. Oh, Clark spins as a result, and James Walker comes through on the inside. And now it's Conway versus Walker, the two Fortec teammates. Conway just ahead, or is he? James Walker's trying to go around the outside, and he's done it. James Walker gets in the lead. We're riding on board here with Charlie Kimball, and he's tucked in behind Ryan Lewis, the American. Needs a good result here to keep the championship alive, remember, but he's scrabbling for places. Ryan Lewis getting past Marco Asma, and now Charlie Kimball will also try and do the same. Yep, he's down the inside, but it's all happening on the first lap, Kelvin.
Wasn't that a fraught run down to the first corner? Carlin Motorsport team look on, but Asma certainly was challenging for the lead, and he's come out of that in sort of 8th, 9th place, but there was lots of ducking and diving. Another spinner at the first corner was this man, Dan Clark. We're on board with him now, and he's having to thread his way right through from the back of the field.
The Fortec team looking nervous. They've only had one victory so far this season, and they're on for a 1-2 finish here. And James Walker, his best result this year has been a 6th place. That was at Knockhill, but he could be on for victory if he stays where he is right now. And so far, so good. He looks to have it all under control.
Yes, Ben, he's got a little breather. We're back with Dan Clark, and up front, Walker's got a little breather, and he's a relatively inexperienced driver at this level, and he's holding it together well, looking strong. Also looking strong is the pace of Dan Clark, but as we know, he's dropped way down the field. In front of him is teammate Bruno Senna challenging Stephen Jelly, and they open out onto the straight here, leading down to that tight chicane. There's a little bit of weaving going on there. They're going into the corner side by side, which allows Clark to close up. Senna trying again on the outside, and there's a bit of contact, and Senna's off there on the grass. Jelly, I think, fairly held his ground there, but Senna the loser.
So Senna off on the grass. I don't know whether he's going to be able to come back on or not. James Walker in car number 2 is the race leader. It's Mike Conway in 2nd place, coming under a bit more pressure now from championship leader Alvaro Peret. Now Peret can't wrap up the title in this first race, no matter what happens, I don't think, but he still wants to score points. And here we are now riding with the leader in the national class. It's Salvador Duran, and there was dust there. That's Ryan Lewis, who's just rejoined, I think. He made a mistake, and it's all getting very tight in the mix here. Salvador Duran doesn't really want to be racing against these guys because they're championship class contenders, but he can't afford to lose time in the middle of them either because his big rivals are not far behind. He squeezes into the middle there. James Walker's going to take his first victory in the British F3 International Series. A great drive from him. He took advantage of other people's problems and then just got his head down and pulled away. Mike Conway makes it a 1-2 finish for Fortec Motorsport, ending a run of success for Carlin. And coming through to win in the national class is the Mexican driver, Salvador Duran. Another great effort from him. So victory for the first time to James Walker. Mike Conway in second. Peret, though, in third place, scoring useful points. Durrani was fourth, ahead of Tim Bridgman. Good result for him as Durant won the national class.
James, many congratulations. Your first win of the year. How does it feel?
Oh, unbelievable. I can't explain how I feel. That's just been so long coming. Just shows that the team and the car and myself have got the pace to do it when we have the chance. You know, we didn't get caught up, luckily, at the start. And it was just a case of just keeping my head down and doing the times, and unbelievable, unbelievable.
Well, congratulations to James Walker taking his first win of the season, but it's not all over here at the Nurburgring because the championship battle is still on. Join us for the next race after the break. Welcome back to Germany. Bruno Senna takes his first pole position of the year after a fantastic qualifying session, and all he's got to do now is win the race. Here's Ben.
Well, Diana, if only it was that easy. But Senna was impressive in qualifying. Now he has to get through that tricky first corner safely. It's his teammate Dan Clark who's alongside him on the front row of the grid, and they're followed by championship leader Peret and then Marco Asma. Charlie Kimball is fifth. Mike Conway is in sixth place, and then race one winner James Walker is followed by Danilo Durrani. Top national class qualifier is again Salvador Duran, although this time he's 13th overall. Senna from pole position, can he make this his first victory in F3? Away he goes. It's a good start though from Alvaro Peret from the second row. The Portuguese driver in the white car with the green stripes is ahead before they even get to the first corner. Great start from Peret. Senna's in second, his teammate Clark in third. Running around the outside of him there is Marco Asma, and Mike Conway also trying to gain position. He's just got ahead of James Walker, and Walker this time not quite so fortunate through the first corner. It didn't all open up for him, and he's going to have to fight a bit harder this time.
Yeah, that's right. In the thick of it, the two Fortec cars. But the guy who got it really hooked up was the championship leader, Alvaro Peret. As we switch back to James Walker, Peret got the revs and the clutch and the traction just right and slotted himself between those two front row cars, and they've now got it to do.
Yes, they have. Senna in second place. Clark is in third, and Conway's come up to fourth place. He's managed to get past both Marco Asma and Charlie Kimball, and that puts the American down into fifth position. Not good news, because if he stays where he is now in fifth place, it could mean the championship's going the way of Alvaro Peret, who leads this race. So there could be a title to be settled here. There's Rolly Vincini, boss of P1 Motorsport, and his man, Salvador Duran, is leading in the national class, so he'll be happy about that as James Walker defends from Danilo Durrani.
Yeah, Durrani had quite a serious lunge down there into the chicane, but thought better of it. It does narrow a bit the road, and there's a big bunch of cars behind those two, which I think is the national class battle.
Yes, I think Salvador Duran's in there somewhere, but he's got the advantage once again in this race. Some good dicing going on, bit of weaving going on, as we can expect between these evenly matched drivers and cars. Somebody going a touch wide. Oh, that was Tim Bridgman, almost passed, but he just managed to get it back together. Remember, he had his best result of the season so far in the first race with fifth position. Let's see whether he can hold on in this one. And Danilo Durrani again putting the pressure on James Walker, but Walker defending resolutely.
That's right. Walker closes the door on Durrani, but gives Ryan Lewis a chance around the outside, but it's a long way around there on the dusty part of the road, and he didn't manage to pull that one off. But this first corner giving us a lot of action.
Yeah, it is entertaining, the first corner. There's so many different lines that they can take coming into the bend. Ryan Lewis on the attack then, but needs to find a bit more speed. Let's just take another look at that start.
We're on board with front row man Dan Clark, teammate Bruno Senna alongside, but launching between the two of them and quite close to the pit wall there is championship leader Alvaro Peret. Clark checks his mirrors. He's in a relatively safe inside position, so he secures his third place into the first corner.
Back on board with James Walker using the curve a little bit on the exit of the bit curve, now coming through this flat out kink, and that's where we can see Charlie Kimball and Marco Asma going at it, hammer and tongs as well, and the American having to do some pretty hard work to defend from the Estonian. Charlie Kimball cannot afford to lose another place. He really needs to gain some places if he's to keep his championship hopes alive.
Yeah, that's right, Ben. It's a shame. It's a relatively lacklustre weekend from Kimball, especially with his teammate and championship leader Alvaro Peret looking strong out in the front. We've had a strong season from Kimball, and I don't think he'll be that enthralled with the way this weekend's going so far.
No, that's right. He's been very impressive in his first year of F3, but, well, it can't always go according to plan. And look how James Walker has managed to close on both of them and looking for a little opportunity to gain ground.
Here's another view of the start. It is with the American, Charlie Kimball. He bogs the engine a little bit, but in front of him, his teammate lights it up perfectly and switches over. He's the car nearest to the pit wall. Alvaro Peret in the lead by now. And in front of Kimball here, we've got the two R teammates.
Yes, Senna and Clark going well, but for T-Sport, they're keeping an eye on their man, Barton Moore, in the national class in particular, but he is in second place in the class at the moment. Salvador Duran is leading. Barton Moore coming under a bit of pressure for second from Josh Fisher. Barton with the yellow helmet, Josh Fisher right behind him in the silver and black cars. They come down towards the Castrol S, and Fisher makes a lunge for it down the inside. Has he got in too quick? No, I think he's managed to hold it. And so Josh Fisher takes second position.
Good move that, very late on the brake. He hid his intentions until the last minute and then just launched the inside and managed to hold the line, which we've seen a lot of others fail to do at that tight first corner.
Stephen Kane on the attack as well. He's trying to get past Carl Reindler in the championship class. He was so close in behind the other car. Just see how tight it was.
You can't get any closer than that, but he didn't manage to overtake Reindler on the brakes. In fact, Reindler managed to pull out a little.
Well, there are nerves down there in the pits, and Carlin Motorsport could be heading towards another title here for them today. If Alvaro Peret stays where he is right now in car number 14, they will take their third title in 5 years. But, you know, Senna's looking very good, and he could be on for his first F3 win. He's not given up the chase, has he?
No, he hasn't. That's right, Ben. And he's not got as much to lose as Peret, of course. He's fired up after an improving season, and he's the one that I think could be prepared to have a lunge here.
Well, he's running out of time. If he's going to do it, he's got to do it quickly, because we're on to the final lap now. There are only a few more overtaking opportunities around this Nurburgring lap, and he's not really close enough right here, is he?
No, maybe not. He needs to be tucked right under that rear wing and then jink out at the last minute on the brakes. But it's a great performance from the inexperienced Senna. Remember, Peret is in his 4th season in F3. They're dropping down the hill here to the hairpin at the bottom of the corner. I think it's called the Dunlop curve. A little bit of a lock-up from Peret, but we've seen him do that a few times, and he doesn't really lose much on the exit.
Senna keeps him under pressure, and I'm sure he's just hoping for a mistake. Bianchi, his sister, on the right there, hoping that Peret makes a mistake as well and hoping to celebrate a victory. But remember, if Bruno stays where he is, it'll still be his best result of the season. He had a 3rd place finish at Silverstone, the last meeting in the calendar, and perhaps he's not prepared to take that risk. Carlin Motorsport are getting ready to celebrate a championship title here, but in trouble is Walker. The engine doesn't sound good at all, and James Walker is dropping out of this second race. What a disappointment for him after doing so well in race 1, but I think Peret's got this one.
Yeah, there's only a couple of corners left now, Ben, and again, Senna not quite close enough. That's the final chicane, and it's just a 180-degree hairpin. It's not really an overtaking opportunity, so here comes Alvaro Peret for another championship for Carlin Motorsport.
Peret takes the victory, and he wins the championship in great style. Bruno Senna finishes in 2nd place, but the celebrations can begin now for the Portuguese driver. That was a great effort, under pressure all the way, and he made no mistakes at all. Unfortunately, James Walker pulls off to the side of the road, and race 2 not as kind as race 1. So Alvaro Peret, the race winner, and with Charlie Kimball finishing in 5th place, he cannot score enough points in the remaining races to beat Peret. Duran won the national class, but Diana is with our new champion.
Alvaro, many congratulations. A bit of a double celebration today.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the happiest days of my life, and I won the race. A really good start, compensates the bad one in the first race. And then I had an old tire because I had a puncture, so I had to use a tire from the first race, which made things a bit harder. So it has an extra taste, the win too, special, and winning the championship is unbelievable. Missing the first 2 races, first race at Donington, and I've won it now, so I'm really, really happy.
What does it mean to you to be the Formula 3 champion?
It means a lot. Yeah, I can't describe it. It's so many drivers in F1 who've won the British Formula 3 championship, and it's really fantastic, incredible.
Takuma Sato in 2001, Alan van der Merwe in 2003. Now it's Alvaro Peret in 2005 to win the F3 Championship for Carlin Motorsport. A brilliant effort considering he didn't even race at the first meeting at Donington. But the battle for second place in the series is still on. With 2 meetings to go, Charlie Kimball could still come under pressure from Mike Conway. Marco Asmer's not far behind in 4th place. In the national class, Salvador Duran has a 31-point lead over Barton Moore. But with 4 races to go, anything could still happen.
Hello and welcome to Mondello Park in Ireland for the 4th and final trip overseas for the British Formula 3 International Series. And it's the first time that the championship has taken to Irish soil.
From looking at Irish racing in the past, the first corner, you're bound to have a few casualties.
I think there's probably not going to be a lot of overtaking, but I think there'll be quite a few incidents which we expect in Formula 3 this year.
So, round 19 and Ulsterman Stephen Kane lines up on pole, but he's got the 2005 champion right next to him, so expect some fireworks going into that first corner. Here's Ben with the grid.
Thanks, Diana. Well, this is actually Stephen Kane's 2nd pole position of the year, but he's yet to finish on the podium. New champion Alvaro Peret was only 0.02 of a second slower, while the 2 drivers still battling for 2nd in the points line up together on the 2nd row of the grid, Charlie Kimball and Mike Conway. Danilo Durrani's Lola is 5th ahead of Ryan Lewis, while Dan Clark and James Walker have ended up qualifying together on row 4. Charlie Hollings on pole in national class, so the Promotechni team leads both classes. Stephen Kane looking for the advantage from pole. He's creeping a little bit. Away they go. I'm not sure he made the best of starts there. It's a great start from Alvaro Peret in the Portugal team colours, and he goes ahead into the first corner, and Kane is in 2nd place. A little bit of a battle there. Mike Conway tried to take 3rd from Charlie Kimball. We're riding now with Mike Conway, but he's in 4th position, Kelvin.
Yeah, Conway fairly secure in 4th, which is where he qualified, but it wasn't a brilliant start from Stephen Kane. He seemed to stutter and jump a little bit as he selected first gear, and then he checked the movement of the car, and typically then the lights changed to green, so that's where Alvaro Peret got the jump on Kane, so he's got a bit of work to do, and it's not going to be easy to overtake around this very tight, twisty, bumpy circuit, so the start was going to be critical, and Kane will be kicking himself a little bit for that.
And here comes Salvador Duran. He's lost it. Oh, he's hit Charlie Hollings. My goodness. Salvador Duran was challenging for the lead in the national class, and the car suddenly turned through 90 degrees while he was on the brakes and took out Charlie Hollings.
Yeah, shame for Hollings. That could again be a question of fairly cold tyres towards the beginning of the race and brakes, and the car pulled unevenly, locked the right front wheel, and the car actually turned right as he was braking into the side of Hollings, who was an innocent bystander, and Hollings climbs out.
Salvador Duran, he can't quite believe it, I don't think, leading the National Class Championship, dicing for the lead. Oh, he doesn't want to talk or be seen by anybody, does he? Molly Vincini, team boss. Now, the team is trying to repair the car. Charlie Hollings is out of his car watching as the race gets underway again. So we're back to full race speed, and we're on board here with Bruno Senna, sliding around quite a lot, having to correct the car. Oh, he's run wide on the grass. Can he keep it off the barrier? Oh, he just about, but he's done a bit of grass cutting.
That was an exciting moment. I think it looked to me as if he just dropped a wheel on the grass on the outside as he turned into that corner.
Jonathan Kennard in car number 36, up against Barton Moore. Kennard eager to win for the first time in the national class. He is the reigning Formula Palmer Audi champion, but the Australian is right behind him. They've only got half a lap or so to go. They are on the back section of track as Alvaro Peret is coming around towards the checkered flag, and they're coming up behind Ryan Lewis once again. Lewis seems to be struggling a little bit. Here comes Peret, checkered flag awaits, and he takes another victory. It's his 11th win. Oh, but over the back of Lewis has gone Jonathan Kennard, and Barton Moore has nipped ahead of him.
Yeah, very strange one now. We couldn't really see what was the cause of that, but there you can see the effect. There's the damaged wing of Ryan Lewis. He's not really in that battle. Of course, he's the teammate of Barton Moore there, but he's not in the national class battle at all. So strange one. Don't really know what happened there, but Barton Moore takes the win.
Yes, that's the 6th win of the season for the Australian. Alvaro Peret, though, taking his 11th outright victory. Mike Conway was 2nd, Stephen Kane in 3rd, ahead of Charlie Kimball. But it was a fraught victory for Barton Moore in National.
Unfortunately, Duran went out early on with Hollings, and we were able to take the race win. So that's the points we need for the championship, and it's all go again now in the championship.
What happened there on the last lap? Because you were scrapping with Kennard, weren't you?
Yeah, Kennard and I were dicing, and we managed to get through. So it was a good win.
And Ryan got involved there somewhere, did he?
I'm not sure, actually.
Stephen Kane takes his 2nd pole position, and alongside him is Danilo Durrani, making it an all-Lola front row. But this is going to be Alvaro Peret's last race in the series, and I'm sure the champion is going to want to finish with a win. Here's Ben.
Yeah, that's right, Diana, but he starts in 3rd place, so to win he's got to get past the 2 front row men, and Stephen Kane determined to make a better start from pole position this time than he did in the first race here at Mondello. The other loader of Danilo Durrani is with him on that front row, then it's Peret, who has Ryan Lewis just alongside. They're followed by Mike Conway driving for Fortec and Charlie Kimball driving for Carlin. Stephen Jelly is 7th, that's his best grid position of the year, and Salvador Duran is the fastest national class qualifier and an impressive 8th overall. Right, can Stephen Kane get it right? Oh, nearly jumps the start, stops again. Wait for it, Stephen. Away we go, that looks better. And the Ulsterman pulls away cleanly. Now we're on board with Mike Conway, and he's been passed straight away by Charlie Kimball into the first corner. Bit of brake locking, Peret's on the grass, almost climbing over to Durrani, and he's hit Durrani. He's hit Durrani in the middle of the field there, and everybody has to go either to the outside or the inside to get past. Amazingly, no one else makes contact. I think Stephen Jelly also was involved in a separate incident because he didn't come through the corner, but it means Ryan Lewis is 2nd and Charlie Kimball is 3rd. Everybody else has made it through there, but it's Stephen Kane who this time made a great getaway.
Yes, Ben, he did. We saw the car leap forward a little bit as he selected first gear, which was the same as what he did in the first race, but when the lights did change, he got the revs and the engine hooked up just right, and away she went. He did a good start, but the order was shaken up a bit by those 2 cars spinning, Peret and Durrani in the first corner. We're on board with Conway here.
Yes, Mike Conway behind Dan Clark, but he's not for much longer down the inside, and Clark could not shut the door, and now he tucks in behind Marco Asma. That was a good move.
Great move, very late on the brakes, and he completely caught Clark napping there. We've got a couple of cars off here at the same corner again. Barton Moore's one of them.
Yeah, Barton Moore, Keiko Ihara as well, and Christian Bakarud, who was a little further down on the grid than he would have liked, but all 3 cars off. I don't know whether they're going to be able to get going once again. Race leader is Stephen Kane. There's Bruno Senna, a bit further back, and he's just seen his teammate run wide. That was Dan Clark. But Dan Clark very quickly back on the tarmac, manages to save it and doesn't even lose a place. Now, Keiko, she's gone over to see Barton Moore to remonstrate with him. Oh, she's not impressed at all, is she, with the Australian?
Bit of a Pacific war there. She's not happy, obviously. In the pits, meanwhile, with damage, is the champion, Peret. Are they going to get that car refettled and back out again? It looks like they will. Safety car's out.
Yep, so everybody again will have to stack up behind the safety car. But Stephen Kane, Ryan Lewis and Charlie Kimball, the top 3 at the moment, ahead of James Walker and Mike Conway. So Conway behind his own Fortec teammate there. And Marco Asma, I think, has got damage to the front end of his car. It's not proving to be a good weekend for him. Keiko Ihara sitting on the back of the truck and Barton Moore on the grass, and the body language tells the story, doesn't it? Let's take another look at the start.
Here's a long shot of the start, and a great start from Stephen Kane. Look at the 3 white cars challenging for 2nd place. On the grass was the champion Alvaro Peret. He tagged Danilo Durrani gently to start with, but then did him properly on the exit of the corner and causes all sorts of chaos. Lots of cars having to take on to the grass. A different view from Conway here, who has to just avoid it. Round on the grass, quite a bumpy ride for him, but he didn't come out too badly from that. James Walker profited. You see that car at the front of that group. And here's another view from further back, Bruno Senna, and you see Stephen Jelly's car spin round there to the right of Senna, and there are the 2 white cars on the grass, Conway in front, as we'd seen earlier on the grass.
Yes, I think Jelly got hit by Asma. That's why Asma's front wing is damaged, and that's why Jelly didn't come round in his grid position. after qualifying with his best performance of the season so far. That's typical luck, isn't it? Here we go then, out of the final corner, the green flag waves, and we get the racing underway once more, and it's Stephen Kane who leads now. Charlie Hollings making a bit of an attack there on Jonathan Kennard. That's for the national class lead. He backed out of it in the end.
Yeah, that's not really a passing place. That's the hairpin, which is the final corner, and Kennard had, in fact, already turned into the corner, so Hollings wisely thought better of that. Here's the Promotechnic team of race leader Stephen Kane as he enters the final corner, the hairpin, the second gear hairpin, and drops down towards his team. And in the grandstand, I think that might be the local support club of Kane, and he gets a standing ovation each lap round.
Yeah, they're really supporting him, aren't they? Great to see. He's an Ulsterman himself, but not too far away from home here at Mondello. Oh, another spin for Bruno Senna. Andoni just missed by everyone around him, wasn't he?
Yeah, close one. I think that looks the same corner where he had an off in the first race, and he keeps the engine running and power slides it back on, but he's obviously got some drama there. We're on board with him here. It is the same corner. He turns in nicely enough, but it takes a lot of curb on the inside, which unsettles the car, and Senna hasn't quite sorted that one out yet.
No, that's right, still learning that corner. Oh, yeah. Dirani's going slowly now. Look at this, having fought his way through valiantly after the incident at the first corner. Sadly, it looks as though the Brazilian is in trouble. Well, maybe it is a result of that damage that was done, and that's the race for second. The blue and white car, Ryan Lewis, under real pressure now from the American Charlie Kimball. He was almost alongside.
Yeah. A good racer, Lewis, and an accomplished racer, Kimball. He's scored a few race wins this year, but Lewis looks to be in a bit of trouble to me. His car's oversteering quite a lot, but he hasn't got long to go now. Maybe a lap and a half, I think. Can he keep Kimball behind? Turns into the right-hander.
Not going to be easy for him, but Kimball, I'm not sure he can find the space that he needs. It is, if you get the braking done late enough. Oh, that was maybe a bit too late.
Yeah, it's that same corner where we've seen incidents. I think Ryan Lewis just grabbed the rear brakes under braking, but again, he managed to cover the exit, and we're back to the finish here. Promotechnic team anxiously waiting. Hit their man. Here he is.
Yeah, Stephen Kane is going to come through to take his first win in the championship class of the British F3 International Series, and it's well deserved. He's been a front runner this season. It hasn't always gone according to plan, but he takes the victory here for Lola at Mondello Park. A delight for his fans, and indeed for Martin Bahrain, who not only owns Lola, he also owns Mondello Park. It's been a good day for him too. Jonathan Kennard coming through to win the national class. Here we are on board Charlie Hollings' car. He's in second, but he's no way near enough to challenge out of this last corner, and that's a good result for Kennard, fully deserved as well for Alan Docking Racing. Finally, Kennard has taken a win in the national class. Ryan Lewis did manage to fend off Charlie Kimball all the way to the line, and James Walker held off his teammate Mike Conway. Jonathan Kennard won in national, but for the first time in championship, it's Stephen Kane.
It's about time. Really, I threw the other race away because I fluffed the start for one reason or another, creeping on the start, but that was a brilliant race. Got away at the start, the car was brilliant.
Alvaro Peret is already champion, we know that, but Mike Conway could still possibly challenge for second in the one remaining meeting. Marco Asma is fourth. He's only 1 point ahead of Dan Clark. And in the national class, 24 points separate Salvador Duran and Barton Moore. And look, Jonathan Kennard is now 6 points ahead of Josh Fisher.
Hello there, and a very warm welcome to Silverstone here in Northampton for the final rounds of the British Formula 3 International Series. Now, the main title was won by Alvaro Peret at the Nurburgring, but the national class, well, that's still wide open, but our champion will be crowned this weekend. So, in the national class, Salvador Duran has the advantage over Barton Moore, but with 20 points for a win, he's certainly not home and dry just yet. Well, this is it. The points leader, Salvador Duran, the number 42 car, lines up on the grid, and just in front of him is the man chasing him for that national class title, Barton Moore. The race is about to get underway. Here's your commentators.
Up front in the championship class, the American Charlie Kimball has taken his 5th pole position of the year. Pretty impressive for a driver in his first season of F3, and he's done it by half a second from Brazilian Danilo Dirani, the winner of the first 2 races back in April. Dan Clark is top Brit in 3rd, ahead of Marco Asma in the high-tech prepared car. Bruno Senna lines up 5th, ahead of Karl Reindler, the Australian who joined mid-season, and Ryan Lewis and Mike Conway. Top national class runner is Charlie Hollings, but title protagonists Barton Moore and Salvador Duran are next to each other on the grid. So can Duran wrap up the national class in this first of the 2 races at Silverstone? We're all set to go on a damp circuit. The lights go out. Good start from Charlie Kimball. Immediately away quickly. And I think Senna's made a pretty good start as well. Trying to come up into 3rd place. Maybe go for 2nd. No, he slots back into 3rd position. Ryan Lewis in a sandwich there. Reindler going around the outside in car number 7. And so far, so good. Everybody getting through Copse Corner safely. And we're riding on board with Marco Asma.
Yeah, usual midfield tussles on the opening lap and the opening corner, but what a fantastic start by Charlie Kimball. Good testing conditions these for these inexperienced drivers. Damp circuit, notoriously difficult to get off the line in an F3 car, and Kimball hooked it up fantastically. We're on board with Duran here, battling.
Yeah, this is close. This is very close with Barton Moore, the Australian, who he's battling with to try and wrap up the championship here. Now he goes down the outside. That's a championship class car that's just passed them on the outside, so they don't need to worry too much about that. Oh, but it gets very tight in there. Barton Moore tries to keep out of the way, and Salvador Duran sitting in behind. He just needs to pick up solid points. Look at Mike Conway making a move on Bruno Senna, and he's made it work. He's through.
Good move by Conway that on first lap, cold tyres. You can see the circuit's still damp, so that's a brave, committed move. Having a bit of a wobble there. I think that's James Jakes in his first Formula 3 race, running around the outside, Jonathan Kennard.
Yeah, that's not good news for Salvador Duran, is it? Now a couple of cars between him and Barton Moore, so he won't be at all impressed. He's got some work to do here, and you can see how those damp patches offline are catching drivers out. Durrani 2nd, Clark 3rd, Conway 4th at the moment, ahead of Senna in 5th. Look at Duran and Fisher side by side into Copse Corner, and meanwhile James Jakes makes a mistake and runs very wide.
Yeah, there is, of course, that big extra piece of tarmac we can see there on the outside of Copse Corner, so Jakes lives to fight another day. Another wobble from Ryan Lewis. Does he hold it? Yes, just about. Gets a cone stuck under the wheel, but tricky conditions these. Remember, they've only done 1 lap, so the tyres are not yet warm.
Now look at this, side by side down in towards Copse Corner. Has a go, but Barton Moore has the preferred line. Very clean racing, I must say. You might sometimes see a driver in a situation that Barton Moore's here might try and squeeze his rival out, but he's not. He's keeping it very clean and just holding his line.
Yeah, exactly. He could have been a bit rude there, but no, fair racing. And again, Duran gets a good exit out onto the back straight out of Beckett's. Can he get through here? Yeah, again, Barton leaves him the space. He could have chopped him off there, but they're just about overlapping as they come into this heavy braking area here for Abbey Corner. Side by side, but thinks better of it. There's a red car noticed behind him, which I think is a championship class runner, perhaps Stephen Kane, who had a bad start, so that's a concern for Duran also. Yeah, it is Kane.
Yeah, he's trying to battle his way nearer the front. We saw him win at Mondello last time out, so we know he's got good pace. Hasn't qualified quite as well as we might have expected, but obviously had troubles on that first lap. Now, let's just take a look at the start. Between these two, Barton Moore was nearest us. He's got the bright yellow helmet. It's always easy to spot him. Now, he actually made a much better getaway than Duran.
Yeah, he did. Barton Moore got that hooked up really well, and actually also passed Charlie Hollings off the line there, but as we saw later, he didn't manage to keep that position, and someone else not keeping their position, I think, is Chung Lu Meng into the gravel trap there on the exit of Luffield. Senna retires into the pits.
Oh, that's a shame for Bruno Senna. We saw him run wide at Copse Corner earlier on. Maybe damage actually done to that car, so he's got no further part to play. Just the 1 more race to go, and the safety car out, and I think that's because of debris from Senna's car, actually, in the middle of Copse Corner. Now he's waving people past him. Bruno, meanwhile, obviously not going to come back out in this race. Let's just see, that was the end of the incident. He spun at Copse, and actually part of the bodywork ended up in the middle of the road. Diana is with him.
Bruno, what happened to end your race?
I was pushing a bit too hard. I got caught with a wet surface, and I spun in the exit of Copse. So the front cover just came off. I spun again in Copse because I was trying too hard. So
Race is restarted, and we've only got 3 laps to go. So Charlie Kimball hoping to hold on to the lead that he built up before the safety car came out. Durrani under pressure from Clark. Asma has managed to nip past Conway. Good restart that from Marco Asma. Still people using that extra bit of road, but once again I think they've got through Combe safely.
Yeah, great restart by Kimball there. He had 2 pairs of cars in twos behind him going in 2 abreast to complex, and it's 3 trying to go 3 abreast here. And no, that was always going to end in tears. So we got Stephen Kane running through the gravel, Yelmer Berman and Ryan Lewis, both of those 2 a beach. So that looks like another problem to me.
Let's take another look at it from on board. Ryan Lewis, he sort of was on the outside, I think, wasn't he? Kane came down the inside. Berman bashed into Ryan Lewis, and it was basically just a question of 3 into 1 didn't go.
Yeah.
And not surprisingly, it's brought the safety car out again.
Yeah, those 2 were beached, and not possible for them to drive away from there. So another angle of it here is the 2 red cars and the blue you see in the middle of the screen. Fairly innocuous looking move, but there's the result.
Great shame, but what it means is, in fact, we're going to see a checkered flag under safety car conditions here, because it's just taken that little bit too long to clear away the debris this time, and Charlie Kimball is going to come through and win very, very slowly. The checkered flag waves for him, and the American takes victory in the penultimate round of the British F3 International Series. Oh, and out Tim Bridgman. I think that restart must have gone wrong for him. Looks like he ran into somebody, but punching the air is Salvador Duran. He's done enough to wrap up that national class title. So there are the results. Charlie Hollings might have won the national class, but we have a new champion. It is the Mexican Salvador Duran.
So how does it feel to be the national champion?
Very good. I mean, it's a long way for what I want to do, but step by step is going good. And for getting this championship, I mean, it was not easy. There is good guys. Hollings is a very good driver. Jonathan Kennard, Ben Klukas is very good. So it's difficult, a tough championship.
Well, it's the final race of the year for the British Formula 3 International Series here at Silverstone. Both championships have been decided, so it's an open playing field for all of these drivers to get that top slot on the podium. Here's Ben.
Charlie Kimball made the most of what is a revised Mugen Honda engine in qualifying to annex pole position once again. But this time it's Bruno Senna who's second, and he's been building up towards his first win for a little while now. His teammate Dan Clark is third, Asma is again fourth, with Conway and Bakkerud next up. Christian Bakkerud indeed showing glimpses of his early season form. Lewis is ahead of newcomer Yelmer Berman, whilst Mondello winner Kane is ninth. Ben Klukas is on pole in the national class. Right, the track is fully dry. We've got good conditions at Silverstone. Oh, a little bit of almost a jump start from Dan Clark, although I think he stopped it in time. And a very poor start for Yelmer Berman. Very slow away, but we're right up there with Marco Asma heading down towards Cobb's Corner. It's Charlie Kimball from pole position who once again has made the best start.
Yeah, we saw a sensible bit of a mirror signal manoeuvre from Asma there, and he'd run down to the first corner, and again 2 cars run wide and use that extra bit of apron, which is tempting, but I don't think it's actually an advantage because it's so dirty and a little bit damp there. I don't think they gain much advantage, but further down the field they're all slotting in order, and Senna's got a run on Kimball out of Beckett's corner. Will Kimball, I think Kimball will regain it on the brakes here. Looks like he did to me, but that's a good move by Senna.
Now we're on board here with Barton Moore coming down into that same Abbey. Oh, he's been hit. He's been hit. That's Anila who spins behind him. That's also Yelmer Berman. I think another car was involved in that, and that's a great shame. I don't know how much damage has been done. There were bits of carbon fibre flying around, and you can see here, good battle between Christian Bakkerud and then Stephen Kane, and Kane hits the back of Bakkerud. Oh, he's off into the gravel. What a shame. Might look more like a touring car move than a Formula 3 racing pass. And meanwhile, Ben Klukas leads in the national class. You can see Salvador Duran under attack from Charlie Hollings and Josh Fisher. It's all very tight there, but I think Barton Moore is in trouble with that car.
Yeah, looks like Barton's limping back to the pits with a damaged car as a legacy of that spin back down at Abbey corner. And shame for Bakkerud. He did a great move around the outside of Kane through the quick bridge corner, and the next corner Kane nudged him. Here we've got James Jakes, who was also involved in that incident at Abbey. So obviously his car was damaged.
So the race leader is Charlie Kimball, Senna second, Asma third, ahead of Mike Conway fourth, and Dan Clark in fifth position. Watch the others all heading down into the Abbey hairpin. Tim Bridgman! Oh, Bridgman made a move down the inside but ran too wide.
That's a typically robust move from Bridgman. In the pits is Diana.
Barton, not the way you'd want to end the season.
No, not at all. Unfortunately, I was back a bit on the grid and just got hit in the right rear. as I braked and was turning into the Abbey hairpin. So I got turned around, unfortunately bent the rear steering arm, so day's over, and that's the end of the season as well.
Shame for Barton Moore. Let's get another look at that. Barton's the yellow helmeted car in the middle, and he gets tagged from the back by, I think, Johan Allen. Almost going over is James Jakes in his first F3 meeting, so welcome to F3, James Jakes. Here's another view of it.
Yeah, this was from on board Barton Moore, and he got the clout, didn't he? Anila spins around, and we can't see from that angle,
no.
But as you say, James Jakes very nearly rolled it. Now, back to the racing action, and this is the race for third place. Bit of tyre smoke in the middle of all that. Conway and Clark are both trying very, very hard, but Marco Asma has third, and if he stays where he is, he's going to beat Dan Clark to fourth place in the championship. Earlier on, remember, we saw Christian Bakkerud punted off. Diana is with him now.
Well, first at the start I got forced into the pit wall by Dan Clark. And after that it was all a bit hectic. I'm not sure who hit me, but someone hit me up the back coming into the complex. And then it just spun me off into the gravel, race over. But I'm not sure who it was, either Stephen Kane or Ryan Lewis.
Yeah, let's take another look at that Bakkerud incident. He does a great move around the outside of Stephen Kane there at the flat-out bridge corner. And Kane, the red car, and for the next slow Brooklands corner, Kane, didn't he? That was a bit cheeky. I think he just braked slightly less, perhaps, than the car in front of him. So make your own conclusion from that.
Race leader is Charlie Kimball, though, and he's going for the double. He's doing well at the moment. Senna second. Asma in car number 12, the Estonian, is running in third. Then the two Brits who have had some good races together this year, Mike Conway and Dan Clark. Here we are, back on board once again with the leader of that particular pack in third place overall. It's Marco Asma. That's the bridge corner that you were talking about.
Good on-board shot, this. He's soaring away at the wheel a little bit, just got that car dancing on the edge, now braking into Brooklands. Meanwhile, back to the national class battle, we've got Charlie Hollings there running in fourth place. Just in front of him, Josh Fisher. And here's a replay of the start, I think, and the car focus there is Dan Clark. Didn't he? Yes, he jumped a little bit and then stopped. Well, was that a jump start? Further back there, the slow-moving car, the red one, Jelmer Berman, in his first F3 race. So these cars are notoriously difficult to get off the line, so we'll give Berman a bit of slack there with that one.
Yes, there's a bit of learning to be done, and that's what this meeting is all about for Jelmer Berman, getting to grips with F3 for the first time. These guys a bit more experienced. Dan Clark and Mike Conway, both in their first seasons of F3, though. Both have taken a victory apiece. Marco Asma, who's in front of them, yet to win one. I don't think he's going to win this one. This is a battle for the lead now, though, in the national class. And Ben Klukas, who was fastest in qualifying in the Lola, coming under some serious pressure from our new champion, Salvador Duran. Rolly Vincini walking up towards the camera, wondering, oh, and he's down the inside there. Duran makes a very late lunge. That was a great pass.
Great move. Really disguised that until the last minute and then jinked through on the brakes. Meanwhile, in the pits, we've got the damaged car of Juha Anila, who was involved, remember, in that incident. Well, another incident here. Charlie Hollings is going off now. Hollings was looking to battle, looking to take third place from Josh Fisher.
But on to the final lap goes our race leader. It's Charlie Kimball, and for Raikkonen Robertson Racing, it looks like they're going to have to settle for second place. That's still a great result for Bruno Senna. There he is. He's not going to have the fairy tale ending of victory in the last round of the championship. That's going the way of Charlie Kimball.
Yeah, shame. It is, of course, a great and famous name in Formula 3. Senna had that Ayrton had that most dominant season, but also dominant Carlin Motorsport, and their second place driver winning this race, Charlie Kimball.
Great effort from Charlie Kimball, and that's win number 16 this year for Carlin Motorsport. What a tremendous record. Kimball and Peret sharing those victories. Duran comes through to win in the national class, and what a way to wrap up his weekend as well. So the result, Kimball the winner, Asma also on the podium, Duran winning in the national class, but Bruno Senna matching his best finish of the year in second.
Bruno, you've brought the fan club today.
Yeah, I think we brought many people from Brazil and some friends from here, and it's really good to have them supporting. It was really nice.
Well done on that second place position. Did you think you might catch Charlie at any point?
In the beginning I actually overtook him, but I was lapping a bit slower than him every lap, but then my tires started to fade because I was pushing really to the limit, and then I couldn't catch him up. So, but it was a good, strong second place. Charlie was on his own race, I was on my own race, and then there was the third and the rest.
The final points, Alvaro Peret joining that luminary list of people like Mika Hakkinen, Rubens Barrichello and our own Kelvin Burt as F3 champion. Charlie Kimball finished in second place and Mike Conway was top British driver, finishing in third. In the national class, it was success to the Mexicans, Salvador Duran, who beat Barton Moore at the final meeting of the season. Jonathan Kennard finished third ahead of Josh Fisher in fourth position. Bruno Senna steps forward to receive his trophy for second place. Great reception for him, and he's presented the trophy by Joe Ramirez, who was team coordinator at McLaren when his uncle was racing for the team.
Well, that's it from Silverstone. We hope you've enjoyed all of the racing action. Alvaro Peret and Salvador Duran are two worthy champions of the British Formula 3 International Series, and no doubt we'll be seeing them in the future. Well, join us again next year. There's lots of changes in the Formula 3 Series, namely Mercedes-Benz joining the fray. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.